Blog Talk Radio.
Greetings, this is Blake the Eccentric, and I want to invite you to check out my new show on Freedomizer Radio, The Eccentric Perspective. It's sort of a red pill, blue pill, going down the rabbit hole kind of show, featuring outside-the-box politics, philosophy, and gonzo journalism. But be warned, with knowledge comes responsibility, and you might not see the world the same way again, as I will attempt to open your mind, speak to your common sense, and challenge your critical thinking skills. So please join me Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from noon to 1:30 Pacific Time. Once again, that's Eccentric Perspective, only on Freedomizer Radio.
All right, greetings and welcome. It is Monday morning, March 4th of 2013. I am Blake the Eccentric, and this is the Eccentric Perspective on Freedomizer Radio. And I see Brian in the chat room now. I'm going to wait for him to get up in the studio here, but looks like we're going to be co-hosting, as we usually do on Monday, covering the latest news and current events. Of course, we'll be here live for the next hour and a half. And the number to call in, 347-324-3704, and join us in chat. And we can cover the news together, I suppose. Curious to hear your feedback or what's going on in your mind today so far. All right, some interesting things I'll have to get to up there. All right, but let's see. Waiting, paging Brian Engelman of the New American Media. All right, we'll get him up in studio here soon enough. Let's see. Just kind of checking around some of the headlines here. Looking at the Drudge Report right now. I see some of you guys are posting some stuff in the chat room. There's one before it's news. What is the current headline? The current headline right now on the Drudge Report is Michelle goes to the dogs. Got Michelle Obama here. In case you didn't know this, this kind of ties into the whole the Obama family, I guess, is our mom and dad. There's some common sense here, I would think here. But just in case you have been living, I don't know, in a doghouse for the last 20 years, Michelle Obama, quote, American dogs need balanced diets and exercise too. In case, were any of you aware? This is a new revelation here. Apparently there was an epiphany in the White House over the weekend, and during her little Google Hangout today, First Lady Michelle Obama reminded the audience that dogs need a proper diet and exercise just like children do. So the First Lady admitted that President Obama liked to tease their own dog, Bo, for being lazy, but that they encouraged her girls to take him out on walks. Dogs are no different, Michelle Obama explained to a woman on the chat. You want to make sure they are eating a balanced diet. And if they are not an active dog, make sure that their food is reflective of an active dog, and then get them out there and throw that ball and get them running. Okay, really? All right, how old are we? I mean, I don't know. I don't actually know what these Google Hangouts are for, or what the audience is like. Perhaps maybe they're mostly under the age of 12, and maybe this would actually be somewhat helpful. I mean, maybe if they were showing this in, classrooms around the country for school children, then yeah, this would kind of be a cute little piece. I'm not really sure who the targeted audience is for this, but otherwise, it certainly comes off a bit silly to me. Like this is the big revelation here. Like we didn't realize that. A lot of dog owners that were like, oh, I didn't know. You're supposed to give them a good diet and take them for a walk once in a while. Wow. All right, but anyway, But to be fair, this could be, for kids. This is out of the Examiner today. But anyway, that's the headline story I found. And here we go. We got Brian on hold right now. Brian, good morning.
Well, I feed my cats cat food that is non-GMO. So you don't want the government to become a nanny state. I get that. But sometimes people need to kind of be reminded of where they're supposed to be and healthy habits versus negative habits, and a little bit of reminders helpful. A lot of people get that out of church or religious practices just to kind of recenter themselves and say, I don't know, maybe these things I've been doing have not really been healthy for me, and maybe I could learn from some of this previous wisdom and kind of readjust how I'm living my life. So I know it's wacky, it's goofy, and it's very, very nanny state, but I buy all my dry cat food from Trader Joe's because they do not use genetically modified ingredients, and I think it's important to monitor what you're putting into, the pets are your children, your cats are your dogs. They are your children if you don't have kids.
Right.
And they're extended family either way. So I know it's wacky, but what are you going to do?
And there's also it depends. I don't actually know where that's from or who tunes into that or what the audience is. Like, it's one thing if it's school children, and it's one thing if you're talking to adults. Like, they're really, are they just really dumbing down the conversation that much? Like, the things that everybody should already, consider, common knowledge, I would assume. But anyway. And hello to everybody in the chat. And I also did want to say about Trader Joe's, which we can tie in. I don't know if we want to do it now or a little bit later. One of the interesting stories I've seen, I've heard about for years. I saw it on, I think Mike Adams published it today, or I'll have to double check. It's out of his news outlet, Natural News. One of the other positive things about Trader Joe's, besides the fact that they don't carry GMO products, is they also don't use those cards. Little discount
let me clarify before we get to the cards. It's not that Trader Joe's does not carry genetically modified products. Let me back up and be specific, because I've called corporate about this after speaking with their manager so that I could have the correct information. What it is that if there is a product in their store, and most of the products in their store have a Trader Joe's brand, I'd say 80% at least of the stuff they carry, it has a Trader Joe's brand option, if not that being the only option. So the things that carry their name as Trader Joe's products, those products do not have genetically modified ingredients in them. They do carry other brands of other products, and those may. So just to be clear, that's the specific thing. Yeah, because I think they own,
the company as a whole, I think they own like Aldi's or something like that, but
well, this is a high-end Aldi. I used to go to Aldi as a young tyke. Pretty
I don't think we have
great
those
deal.
in
Kind of. Yeah. Well, this was in Ohio, but
I'm not missing out on anything.
What's that?
So I'm not really missing out on anything.
No, not on the Aldi.
Not being deprived.
The Trader Joe's is where it's at, because it's like, who has time to research what every company is doing with every ingredient? But if one company just makes it easy, I mean, shit. I prefer easy to complicated and confusing. Hey, tax season's rolling around, isn't it? On an unrelated note.
Wow, that is a very unrelated note.
Yeah,
are we going to segue that into something, or should we go to the other little story here?
Blake, just talking about complex and too confusing to follow, and you don't really know, and you don't have time to research, and you just do the best that you can, trying to figure out what foods are actually healthy versus whatnot. Nobody understands the tax code. It's coming up on tax season. Nobody gets it. Nobody understands the tens of thousands of pages of complicated regulations that connected people put in there so that they could avoid paying the same taxes you do. I mean, come on. Maybe that's a bipartisan way to get things going again in Congress, get a conversation out of the White House. I don't know if I buy it or think that it's likely, but I think it should be part of the conversation. But let's get to your story about the cards, because one of the things I love about Trader Joe's is You don't have to use one of those keychain loyalty cards that I've never used at the stores out here, and almost every one of them wants to grab your personal information before selling you their product at the good price. So, you know, I love this story.
Refuse. Yeah, no, I used to outright refuse to, just go to those stores that would do that. But then eventually it just became all of the stores did it, so I was kind of like forced to. So, yeah, I do have to carry around one of those cards, which is, really annoying. But there's something else because, there are people out there looking at that stuff. And I'd heard about this years ago, kind of a rumor. It seemed legit, but it seemed like, a bit of a kooky conspiracy theory. And I guess the same thing goes for Mike Adams, who did write the article. So now that I double-check, so this is grocery loyalty card purchases surveilled by insurance companies to raise rates and deny claims. So now they can see everything that you buy. And, let me just get into the article. I'll read it from Mike Adams' words here. I warned Natural News readers about this years ago. Those grocery store loyalty cards that they push on you to enjoy discounts on groceries are actually a behavior surveillance technology that's used to capture and profile your grocery purchasing patterns. This data is then sold off to insurance companies who use it to raise your rates by linking your grocery purchases with the risk of disease. So are you buying a lot of ice cream? Well, you're more likely to be obese and diabetic. Now, are you purchasing a lot of processed meats and homogenized milk? Well, you're more likely to develop cardiovascular disease. Are you bringing home a lot of processed food with additives, chemical sweeteners, and chemical preservatives? Well, you're far more likely to get cancer. So health insurance companies are now using this data to develop these sorts of, quote, risk profiles of individual consumers. And it's all enabled because people are so incredibly obedient that they actually fill out their real names and addresses on these grocery loyalty cards. Health insurance companies simply use credit reporting databases to link your grocery loyalty card account number to your health insurance account number, and from there, your insurance rates can be adjusted based on what you buy to eat. And the last paragraph here, before the next segment, is even worse, they can use this data to deny your health insurance claims. So, for example, if you get diagnosed with cancer, your health insurance company can look through your grocery purchasing history and show that you bought processed meat products containing cancer-causing sodium nitrite. They can use this data to deny payment on your claims and push the blame on you for living a, quote, cancer lifestyle. So, what do you think of that, Brian?
We have Good.
No, I think it's crazy that they force you to get these cards. Like, I just want to get the damn discount on the stuff. It's great. I love it when the thing I have a problem. One of the things I have a problem with Whole Foods is that I'm kind of notorious for going into a place, and I'm not really picky on specific products. Like if they're rival products. I don't drink Coke or Pepsi, but I'm just saying if I did, I would buy whatever's cheaper. I don't care, whatever one's on sale. I'm kind of notorious for, I like to find things that have a nice discount, and I like to buy several of them, kind of stock up on stuff, and I kind of smart shopping in that sort of regard. And I already forgot where I'm going with this. But like Whole Foods, they hardly have any of these little discounts. So it's like, I saved 20 cents on a $5 box of cereal, big deal. So it's not really an incentive to go in there. So you got to get these cards, and they make you get these cards so you get the discount. Like, sometimes I save like 30% on my grocery bill. So it kind of forces me to use that. And as much as I like Trader Joe's, they just have such tiny little stores that I can't get everything there. So I got to supplement that with another place, and especially because I want a live. I want a butcher.
What are you looking for that you cannot get from Trader Joe's?
Trader Joe's, they have like four. What do they have? Like maybe 5 aisles, and one of them is like mostly wine. So they just don't seem to carry a lot of stuff, whereas a real grocery store might carry, have like 20 aisles and have different stuff.
Right.
The other thing is
asking...
I have to have a live butcher. That's one of the things. I like to buy
Okay, see, that's
at the
what
meat
I was
department.
asking, for specifics, because, yes, they have a limited space, but they kind of break it down with the items that most people need most of the time. So you're saying the butcher department is the thing
that's
that
one of the big ones.
That's fair. I'll give you that. So for that purpose, that's fine. But I think this whole concept of Fourth Amendment violations, we posted a really interesting video on our Facebook page. I think we tweeted it out as well, where this guy's going through all these checkpoints. These checkpoints on the freeways. It's a legal search and seizure. It's Fourth Amendment violating stuff, just like these grocery rewards programs. If the true intention of gathering all that data were revealed, this would be a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment. And they don't offer you better prices for being in the club. They prohibit you from the competitive prices unless you submit. And that's what this guy, he went through these checkpoints about 40 different times, and they kept trying to push him around and check his immigration status and get all of his info, and he's like, am I being detained? Am I being arrested? Am I free to leave? Well, I'm going to need you to pull over here. Well, I decline that. Am I being detained? Do you have a probable cause to stop me and search me, to stop and frisk as New York and big cities are trying to do, where you just get grabbed and, that's the same type of stuff that was happening in the colonial times prior to the Revolutionary War. And that's why it was the fourth most important thing they put down in writing. And I don't like these cards at all. On the newamericanmedia.com, we have a 1984 watch, because this society that George Orwell wrote about in 1984, where, you have it now, Blake, where street corners are listening to you, and they're photographing you, and you're being tracked on your GPS with your cell phone. And everything that you're doing, half of the freeways you can't drive on unless you get a certain little chip so that you can pay the cheaper rate. Same thing with these loyalty cards. And it's a slow, gradual process where this is becoming a prison planet. You're being tracked and traced the whole time, and that's not what this country's supposed to be about. It's not. But one of the other ramifications of when you put the government in charge of all of the health care, and most people have said that what Obamacare really is, it's a Trojan horse to cripple the private insurance companies, make all their rates so expensive that everyone gets dumped in and you finally have a single-payer health system. If you allow the government to take charge of the healthcare industry, you're damn right they're going to be figuring out everything that you're buying, whether it's Jack Daniels, ice cream, cigarettes, processed foods. It doesn't matter, because now they're in charge and they need to know that about you. And that's what you signed away as a nation when you forfeited that sovereignty, when you forfeited your Fourth Amendment rights, all of the rights, the 10th Amendment that we did with Obamacare. If you're okay having everything in your life tracked and traced, and you now become a servant to this machine, I'm okay if somebody wants to do that, but I'm not okay with someone making the decision that I have to do that. And that's the negative ramifications of this republic, when the people who have been elected, they're bought and paid for, and they're pushing an agenda whether it's a good idea or not. So I love this story because I hate this story so much. I love this story because it's all connected to all of the other stories about power and control and tracking and tracing and cell phones being monitored and emails being thrown into databases, whether it's Echelon or being filtered through an NSA facility in Utah. It's all garbage. I don't know why anyone would want to submit to being tracked and traced their entire life. I don't get that personally, and I know I'm not the only one.
No, and I think I've been a little bit naive on this because I've been using these cards for years. I do have my real name on them, and I'm pretty health conscious, but still,
hold
it's not
on,
the whole point.
Hold on.
You don't. Go ahead.
Hold on. You have your real name on them?
I do.
Oh my. Okay, so let me guess. You also purchase it with a credit card that then links up with your credit card.
Yes, Big Brother knows everything about my diet. Yes.
Oh, let me guess.
I do.
You have one of those freeway passes in the front dash window of your vehicle.
Fortunately, we don't have stuff like that here in the silver state of Nevada yet. So.
I love how you said yet. Okay.
We'll
all right. Anyway, go ahead to talking about these things. I won't tear into you now. But Blake, come on. You cut up your card and you go get a new one and you put your name down as John Boehner or Judge Ito or Lance Armstrong or Barack Obama. I mean, come on now. Really? So,
really?
But if you pay with credit card, it gets tracked to you anyway, whether you use a fake name there, because all of those are linked with the number with your credit card. Mark of the beast, if you will.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we'll see. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, it's not. I don't really like having that kind of information. It is pretty stunning. I mean, I can see them keeping track of all this stuff, but it is really disturbing to actually see the proof that they're actually, selling this information to health insurance companies. So I don't know. But that also is going to bring an interesting can of worms, because all of this food that is supposedly, not that bad for you, now it's going to be completely exposed as,
Blake,
it's a lot worse for you.
Oh, that's a good point. I want you to expand upon that, but I just wanted to ask you real quick. Yeah. Would a can of worms be considered healthy eating?
That's a good, you know what? I probably.
What if you're
a
fish?
Maybe, no, wait. No, because it'd be like shrimp. It'd have the big, the vein in it, the big, whatever, the poop vein, whatever you call that. So, because worms, what do they eat? They're all full of dirt, right? How would you clean them?
Well, would a fish consider that healthy eating then?
I suppose the fish wouldn't know it. Well, the fish are only going to live a few years anyway, So
well, by the way,
relative.
It is. But get to the point you were saying about.
Well, we're going to find out what's really bad. Yeah, because they're going to say, okay, what if you have type 2 diabetes? And they pull up your grocery bill and they say, oh, you're drinking, Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or whatever. You're buying that. You're an addict for that, and you're buying a bunch of I don't know the names of some of these sugar-free type of ingredients or what have you.
Aspartame.
People are buying diet cookies or whatever. I don't know. You're getting low-fat cookies that are sweetened with aspartame or what other kind of garbage. I forget all the names of that stuff. But, yeah, wouldn't that expose the whole fraud of that? And we'd be realizing just what kind of, these epidemics we're causing.
See, I like that,
scale.
Blake. I like what you're doing there. The glass is half full with you. I like that. See, Tessa in the chat room, she is saying that they have to track their cattle. And,
and I'm one of those cattle.
I guess you are. Tessa's saying, let me scan your chip. Big Brother is watching. And, it's how about go get some horse meat at Taco Bell or at IKEA?
Dude, did I call that?
At IKEA?
Did I call that? I was joking about
Blake, that's the most cutting edge. That's the best call I've ever heard. That Taco Bell might contain horse meat. Really? That's come on.
No,
guess what? I think the sun is going to set today.
No, I hear you. But it was before that it was announced that, and I was kind of joking about eating horse meat out of a MSG nuclear orange Dorito shell for a taco, and well, maybe not quite, but yeah,
nuclear orange.
I used to like those Doritos, but yeah, I can't even eat those because you eat one, you're gonna want to eat a whole bag, and I guess that's the whole point. Is that they got enough MSG in them and artificial flavors to make them taste a little unnaturally delicious. So I just have to stay away from stuff like that.
Well, they also say that the ingredients, the what do they call it? Natural flavoring. I've seen some specials on what natural flavoring really is, and I guess they've designed it so that the taste will dissipate within 3 to 6 seconds. I'll have to pull up the article. I don't have it in front of me, but something along the lines of after a few seconds, when you should still be satisfied and still be tasting this amazing flavor, it's gone. So you need to replace it with another one. It's been completely designed to get you sitting there at the trough, just devouring the entire bag at the same time.
Oh yeah, no. If I wasn't health conscious, I could only imagine. I remember those days. Yeah, buying a big old bag of Doritos and just sitting there and eating half the bag and feeling sick, like that's your whole meal. But yeah, it's like those stupid commercials they play on the Super Bowl or whatever that make it look like people that eat Doritos are crack addicts. But I've had those moments in my life. So, but anyway.
Who wouldn't want to be a crack addict a couple of times in their life? Just to say I rode all the rides at Disneyland. So when we go meet our maker at the end of this experience, we're all going to die. I've just heard one of the most interesting ways to die where a sinkhole opened up underneath that guy in Florida. Just a horrible situation. But we all have to die. And, why shouldn't we all at least get the feeling of becoming a crack addict? So when we meet our maker, it's like, yeah, I went on that ride at Disneyland. It was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Whoa, man, why do you even have that at Disneyland? That is so out of place. But, yeah, I took the ride. I didn't cheat myself of any life experiences, and now I know.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, I've lived in a couple of sketchy neighborhoods when I first moved out to Vegas, and I would have, I'd see the crack addicts or the meth addicts or whatever. They'd be bouncing around the neighborhood, and I just can't imagine why you would want to even do something like that. You know what I mean? Because you could see people on various drugs and they maybe are having a good time or what have you, but then you meet the people that actually do like meth and crack and stuff, and they are so out of it, like their lives are just destroyed. They look broken and they don't make any sense, and it's scary. I don't know why people see that and go, yeah, you know what? I want to try some of that. Where do you got some meth or some crack? Because I'd certainly like to try that. I don't get it, but whatever. Side issue.
Red Pill is asking in the chat room if you're a pot smoker because you're talking so much about Doritos.
No comment.
We have a Fifth Amendment in this country. We can choose to not incriminate ourselves. Red Pill, thank you very much for trying, though. That's a good comment. If you're not you're not in our chat room, do it. It's at freedomizerradio.com. And stay anonymous if you don't want to put a cool picture up like Baldy or Red Pill or Sexy Cowgirl. Well, who's this person?
Funny, I'm looking down. I'm wearing my Bob Marley T-shirt right now. If that gives you any... I think I'm not on camera going, I don't know. I don't smoke pot. Anyway. Not before the show. Okay, not before the show. All right. Anyway, actually, I was on vacation for a week, and I did not smoke any while I was back home for a whole week. What do you know? It's not a it's not well. I'm not saying I'm going to keep the streak going now that I'm back home. I'm just saying that whatever. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this.
You're going back to Doritos. You're talking more food.
Right. No, I don't. I haven't had Doritos in a few years, but they certainly they're appealing, and they are. They're really addictive and unnaturally good. So I just try to avoid stuff like that. So but I like good old chips and salsa here and there. Get those blue organic over at the Trader Joe's. Good stuff.
Yeah, but they don't have a butcher.
Good enough for me.
I don't know if I'm going back. I don't know.
That's why I go to the other place, and then I get my Big Brother card out, and I buy. I get the good stuff from behind the glass. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what are they butchering? What is the quality of meat that you're getting? Are you getting horse?
You know what? I have no idea. It's probably some horse and some pink slime, and maybe some donkey. Who knows? Whatever. Various animals. Tastes all right. As long as it tastes good, right, Brian? All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've been transferring. I've been shifting some of my consumption a little away from meat and a little more toward part of a farmer's
Would you
co-op.
try horse?
So you get organic deliveries every week or every 2 weeks, and whatever happens to be in season, and it forces you to open up the cookbook and go, how the hell do you cook an artichoke? Okay, I've never done that before, but before it rots in my refrigerator, I better figure it out. So, it's kind of a cooking lesson as well.
Right. Well, let's, hypothetically, Brian, let's say you were at a Fuddruckers in China, and they had horse burger, and you couldn't get horses here. Would you try it?
I've had buffalo.
I like to try new stuff. Yeah, the buffalo or the elk or
no red pill.
No
red pill. I'm not gonna eat fried kitty. No, thank you.
Chigogi. That's the only word I know in Korean.
Gansa hamnida.
It's cat meat. Chigogi.
Okay, so that's all you know in Korean. So should you ever
I used to work with a girl from Korea. Yeah, that was the only word.
And the one phrase you learned from her was cat meat. The one phrase that you learned in all the time working with her.
Yeah, there was another girl I worked with who was some sort of a army brat or something that moved around and was in Korea and ordered that, I believe, by mistake or what have you, and it was not to her liking. Oh, and I one time I bought a CD, or it was like the Million Recipes or whatever, cooking recipes, and I would put in some goofy ingredients as a joke, but there was actually recipes that called for cat. Like they were just like in there by mistake or whatever. When you have a whole million, I suppose it's kind of hard to go through a million different recipes and check them all. So yeah, there's actually ones that snuck through there that they do have recipes for that kind of stuff. So Brian, if you ever you're never going to go hungry in your apartment. Like if you were ever trapped, if there was a sinkhole, like let's say in your place there, and you were survived. And how many cats do you have in your apartment?
Oh, I have a pet or two.
All right, you've adopted or rescued a few cats. All right. Anyway, Brian,
okay,
you won't go hungry.
Let me say this. You just reminded me of something else. This is a story. Owners of a Houghton-based meat processing plant were shocked to see their donation of almost 1 ton of food to the Shreveport-Bossier rescue mission get thrown out. This is a story that came out. This is from February 26th, maybe a week ago, but it just got me thinking about it. Chris and Carla Nesbitt, owners of the Bellevue meat processing plant, found out last week that 1,600 pounds of venison donated from their company to the rescue mission through the Hunters for the Hungry program was discarded and doused with bleach last month by a health inspector with the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. The DHH received a complaint in January that deer meat was being served at the homeless shelter. A health inspector then told the shelter that deer meat was not allowed to be served and that it had to be destroyed immediately.
What? I
know,
love
this gets me so frustrated hearing this.
Yeah. That'd be just strange. I'd be like, sign me up, man. I like that's expensive and hard to find. You know what I'm saying? Or at least
that
out
odd game
not back home. Right.
I like
kind of nice because I was back in Minnesota last week. Yeah, I didn't get any venison, but it's nice because they serve walleye pretty much at all the restaurants and stuff like that, or what have you. Yeah, I'm always down for some venison. They actually thought that was weird. I guess they didn't know any better. Unusual. They did not know what they were missing.
Yeah. So while we all have to contemplate how bad everybody else has it, and we got to contemplate what we're putting in our bodies, just realize that some people in Louisiana felt it was better to throw away 1,600 pounds of perfectly great deer meat and douse it with bleach, as opposed to letting a starving, homeless, destitute human being enjoy a fantastic meal. It was a smarter idea to douse it with bleach and immediately throw it away. Not because it tested positive for E. coli, not because of any reason that would make sense, just because. It was their policy. Just like the policy of the nursing home that refused to perform CPR on the dying woman who later died. And on 911, she's saying, no, I'm not going to help her. No, I'm not to do CPR. Did you see that one?
I saw it, but I did not read the article, but I did see the headline.
Well, why don't we do this?
And
why don't we take a break because we're starting to get past it here. If you want to call the Eccentric Perspective program here on freedomizerradio.com, you can do so. It's at the top left of your freedomizerradio.com page. It is 347-324-3704. That's 347-324-3704. Make sure you're following Blake on Twitter. He's at Eccentric99. Follow us. We're at American_media_. And give us a call. Jump into the chat room. We'll take some calls if you guys are thinking about a few things, want to join this conversation. 347-324-3704. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back on the other side. My name is Brian Engelman, alongside Blake Wally, here on Eccentric Perspective.
We know about the Gulf oil spill. We know about problems with voting. We know about environmental toxicity. We know that there are problems about the wars, that our government is not representing the people as we would wish them to represent us. But we also know that there are crystal clear solutions. I'm Patricia Springstead, and I'm heavily involved in making the world a better place.
Every day you try to brainwash people just to have things go your way.
Patricia Springstead on Freedomizer Radio. Crystal clear solutions.
Well, tell me what you gonna do when your well runs dry.
We are so pleased to announce ESP Botanicals is now sponsoring Freedomizer Radio. They have a bath and body line of products made for keeping your skin beautiful and healthy, but it's also for psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, and dermatitis treatment. They are meticulously prepared skincare products made from the best botanicals available, committed to buying only from the growers when they can and using the highest quality cold-pressed oils, botanical organic additives, the best steam-expressed essential oils, and the least processed carrier oils that are available in today's marketplace. Pamper yourself or someone special in your life. Give the gift of beautiful, glowing skin. ESPbotanicals.com. Thank you so much for supporting us at Freedomizer Radio.
C is for cookie. And that's good enough for me. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturdays. I love you, Miss Cookie. Join Cookie and me on See the Power in You.
Please learn more about Freedomizer Radio by going to freedomizerradio.com and also Facebook us right at freedomizerradio.com. Catch you there.
All right, and we are back. Blake the Eccentric and Brian the Brain Engelman of the New American Media. This is the Eccentric Perspective on Freedomizer Radio. So, I'm going to give out the number, Brian, but I'll give it out again. What the hey? 347-324-3704. And, all right, Brian, well, where do we go next here? Another big headline story. And in fact, I'm looking at it right now on my little Alexa toolbar thingy. So this is the number one story, or at least one of the hottest stories in the country right now, perhaps the world. But I think it makes a little bit more sense in this country because it is more of a domestic news issue. And which is really exciting because this is something that really needs to be in the spotlight. Absolutely. It's I think it started on InfoWars. No, wait, my bad. It did not. I don't think it did originate from InfoWars, but it is one of the featured stories on Drudge right now, and I'm going to pull that up. It's actually out of the Gateway Pundit. As the Department of Homeland Security purchases 2,700 light armored tanks to go with their 1.6 billion bullet stockpile. And I believe it's actually a little over 2 billion, but that's fine. fair enough. I mean, 1.6 to 2 billion. What difference does it really make? It's the fact is we need to be talking about this. Everybody needs to be aware of this. What is the Department of Homeland Security doing? What are they getting ready for? Why are they being so hush-hush about what's going on here? So, I mean, there's various reasons maybe for this 2 billion bullet stockpile. I was listening to Michael Savage last week on Alex Jones, which was a pretty interesting interview, and especially to have a big show host like that speaking about stuff like this. But his thinking was, and that's one of the things that I disagreed with him about, is that they were saying that they think Michael Savage thinks that they're buying all this ammo to create a shortage, which I think is not. I'm not buying it. But here's the deal here. Now you're buying 2,700 light armored tanks. Now these don't actually look like the tanks with the little tracks that they drive on. These are actually just giant armored four-wheeled vehicles here, but which I'm not really familiar with. So here's a tough one. Let's see here. Obama says Al-Qaeda is finished. Is this maybe I'm reading the wrong for some reason
I
don't know, it
different.
keeps jumping. Yeah, it does sound different.
All right.
It
while
keeps jumping.
you
I got
reset
it now.
that.
Now I got it.
Well, while you
Okay.
reset that, let me jump in here and
Please.
say I don't disagree with Michael Savage. I don't.
So you think
it
that
could
they would
serve
buy all
two
that
purposes.
ammo to create a shortage? All right.
It could serve multiple purposes at the same time. Look, ammo, if properly stored, you got a pretty healthy shelf life on it. It's not like stocking up on eggs and milk and cheese. It's going to turn moldy pretty quick, so you better consume it. It's going to shore up their pantry.
Right.
And you stock up. You put some extra supplies in the basement if you get all those bullets. And you create a shortage. And they've worked in so that their orders are going to be filled before the general public's orders are filled, so that they'll get first priority to buy the next batch. So you will dry up the supply. And you're going to raise the prices. You're going to create shortages, raise prices, so I mean that people can buy less because there's less on the shelves to buy. They can buy less because their money doesn't go as far. And the government is stocking up on them. It serves a lot of purposes at the same time. Is that the number one reason? Well, who says there has to be a number one reason? What if you accomplish 8 things with the same concept of buying 2 billion hollow point .40 caliber bullets, such as drying up the supply and raising the prices for everybody else? I think it could be all of those things.
Yeah, that's a good point, Brian. Because I don't think of like the actual raw materials as being that scarce where they could actually really create a shortage. But yeah, if they are prioritizing and they are taking a lot of them out of the market right now, that is a big deal. But it's not like something that seems complicated to me. But I don't really know much about the bullet. I don't know, what is it, brass and gunpowder or what have you. Can't say I know that, but it seems like they might be gearing up for a financial collapse here. And then now I'm seeing these big vehicles here. What the hell are they doing domestically with these vehicles? So I do have the proper article. So it says, this is getting a little creepy. Now, according to one estimate, since last year, the Department of Homeland Security has stockpiled more than 1.6 billion bullets, mainly 40 cal and 9mm. But Department of Homeland Security also purchased 2,700. These are not quite tanks. They are mine-resistant, armor-protected vehicles, or as the military, they always use the acronyms, the MRAP. So the Department of Homeland Security recently retrofitted 2,700 of these mine-resistant protected vehicles for service on the streets of the United States. So although I've seen and read several online blurbs about this vehicle of late, I decided to dig slightly deeper and discover more about the vehicle itself. These are the words from whoever wrote the Modern Survival blog where this was pulled from. So the new Department of Homeland Security sanctioned street sweeper, that's what he's calling them, is built by NavistarDefense.com, or Navistar Defense, a division within the Navistar organization. Now, under that Navistar umbrella are several other companies, blah, blah, blah. But, actually it's not the most specifically article. I can't really quite get the – it's not really being that specific. It's kind of dragging off. But I'm sure other blogs and other outlets are going to start reporting on this, so we'll get some more information on that. I am going to put this on the board. There's actually a little video on this, but it seems a little bit odd. These big, heavy, armored vehicles, they probably get like 5 miles a gallon, are going to be patrolling around 2,700. What is that mathematically? What does that divide to by state? How many are they going to go? I mean, where are they really worried about mines? I mean, these are vehicles that are capable of withstanding some pretty major attacks here. So I can only imagine, what would they possibly want to use these things for, Brian?
Enforcing grocery loyalty rewards programs.
That's a good idea, Brian. Perhaps. For people
maybe
that want to use
go,
fake names like you're suggesting. You're suggesting people commit fraud and fill out fraudulent
I don't know
names.
I don't know
this
if I
to
suggested
you,
that,
Brian.
Blake.
All right.
I don't know if I suggested that. I just asked the question.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Look, if you were running the United States right now, wouldn't you be getting prepared? You know, like, I get that. I totally would. I've been doing it personally, just trying to, you know, as much as you can, trying to get yourself in the best place possible and, you know, prepare for contingency plans and worst-case situations, and you hope for the best. But it should be concerning, this huge ramping up of domestic policing, this militarization of local police. It should be concerning to anybody that is connecting the dots between global finance, all of the wars that we're engaged in, all of the different countries where we're deploying our cousins, our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our sons and daughters. I mean, we're participating in this, and if you connect dots and see, wow, what if something happened here? What could they be getting ready for? It should be concerning. You know, there's no need to go ultra paranoid about it, but
right.
I mean, just
and
look at the data
shortage,
points, put them together. We're not making this stuff up. We don't want to think this crap. We don't want to waste our time thinking about this. I just want to play some football. You know, I just want to watch some TV. I just want to hang out with my friends and play some poker or something. I don't want to pay attention to this stuff.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to be a full-time activist when I'm not doing other things. Yes. Yeah, that would be kind of fun. And even if they are, you know, buying let's say they're not gearing up for an actual civil unrest, and they are, let's just say Michael Savage is 100% accurate, and they're just creating a shortage. Then why are they creating a shortage?
No. I don't think he's saying I don't think he's just saying that that's the reason. Yeah,
but even if it was, it's still, it doesn't, it's not like reassuring anyway. Oh, they're just creating a shortage and just, you know, jacking up the prices for everyone else, and not everybody else can get them. I mean, what is their logic either way, whether they're both going for a civil, you know, whether they're preparing for collapse or not? It's still kind of an odd, like, why would you need that many? I mean, it's one thing to buy things in bulk. You know, like I was just saying earlier, I like to buy things on sale and stock up on them, and you know, just kind of smart shopping that way. But I don't know. I don't think it's like they were finding things on sale and just buying things in bulk at the time. Why would they just keep adding and adding? I mean, they're obviously stockpiling for something. But what the hell are these vehicles for? There is no reason you would possibly. I mean, are they really worried about people? I mean, they talk about how bad it is. Oh, you know, the Second Amendment. You know, where do we end? I mean, you're going to buy assault rifles. You know, why not get nuclear weapons? And why not get this? Like, okay, well, you can't buy certain things. I don't think you can buy landmines that you would necessitate a reason to have vehicles that would keep on going if they ran over a mine. I mean, for what purpose? Do they really think there's some sort of domestic terror that are going to, set minefields over the, I don't know, throughout the city of L.A.? I don't know. But certainly very alarming. So I'm glad to see Drudge pick that up. I'm glad to see it's one of the top trending stories in the country right now, because we all need to start asking these questions. Right.
Yeah. I just want to eat some venison and hang out with my buddies.
Right.
Maybe go hunting. I've never been hunting. I have to say. All right, Blake, we need to go hunting. Maybe we could hunt the most dangerous game. The Yeti.
Yeah. Yeti, that'd be kind of cool.
Or the chupacabra. No, you thought I was going to say humans, you goofball. I meant the chupacabra. We're out here in the Southwest.
Right.
No, I've never been hunting, but I respect it. I understand. And I say I'm big into gardening, and I think knowing where your food is coming from is very important. I think it's part of being a human that we have walked away from. It got easier to not be involved and not actually go shoot the deer that you clean and skin and prepare and cook, and that's what humans have been doing for a very long time. And right now we're very reliant on energy coming out of the wall sockets, being able to communicate with our bank and our friends on text messages or cell phones or emails. Yeah, prepackaged meat at Trader Joe's. So I think anything that can reconnect us with becoming self-sufficient and self-reliant, I think these are good traits. And if any weird thing were to happen, I mean, who would have thought waking up in Russia one day a huge meteorite was going to blast over your head, injuring, 4,000 people injured?
I don't even know. Yeah.
It was huge. So I mean, who knows when something weird could happen? Who knows if there'll be civil unrest? I mean, Blake, out in Las Vegas, you saw that one guy shot into a Maserati, and it created a huge fireball that shut down the strip for the first time ever.
What's the deal with that?
We saw out in Los Angeles. We saw in Los Angeles where a former cop, Christopher Dorner, went on a freaking rampage, shutting the city down to the point where the police are so paranoid they're shooting up a mother and her daughter while they're delivering newspapers in a vehicle that did not match the color, license plate, nor description of what Dorner was in. That's how freaked out the LAPD got. So, when people hear us talking about, well, could DHS really be preparing for something? Of course. Well, that could never happen here. That could never happen in America. Why not? Because you fail to realize, you fail to study history. You fail to recognize that Rodney King in, 1992 set this city on fire. That over in Vegas you can have a huge shooting and a Maserati explosion that shuts down the entire, 16 lanes of roads over there on the Strip? I don't know, whatever it is.
You know what, that reminds me of something, yes. It's something I haven't seen reported about that, or why aren't they talking about that? One of the things I've seen out here, one of the trends the last few years, I've seen some of the taxi cabs have switched from your regular gasoline powered cars to the propane powered cars, and that was one of those cabs that he hit. So it just burst into a big fireball, like it was like old Ford with a Pinto or a Corvair or something like that. Is that what it is? Is the Corvair? It's the Pinto and the Corvair, I think, were the ones that's what
happened. That was what happened in Vegas? I didn't catch that part of the story. I only kind of followed it.
I believe so. I think that's one of the things that was neglected to mention. That's what caused that big fireball, was because it hit, basically, you're ramming a car into a propane tank. So it kind of makes you wonder if it was a regular, if your regular Crown Victoria cab with your regular gas tank, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. Maybe the dude got shot, but maybe at least the cabbie and the passenger in the cabbie would still be alive if it wasn't for the propane. Not that, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to switch to propane or something, but I really couldn't. I don't know if people or if regular citizens can go buy a propane-powered car, can they? I mean, isn't that something that's? I think we've already learned our lesson. Didn't Ralph Nader already show you that was dangerous and these things blow up? Or you start thinking of that little dialogue in Fight Club when they're on the airplane and talking about the cars blowing up and stuff like that, and they can't make a recall unless it's it's like a mathematical equation to decide here. But how did these cars pass the safety checks? I don't know.
You know what? I haven't been in the market for a new car for a while. What I am looking for is I'm researching purchasing a dirigible, a Zeppelin of sorts, like the Hindenburg that never erupts into flames and you scream, "Oh, the humanity!" Yeah,
right.
I didn't really connect that's what was going on. I didn't research the story that much. But look, what I'm saying is, it's smart to be prepared. It's smart to just kind of have a plan. And I understand why our government would want to have, reinforced, sturdy vehicles where they could whatever. But it sure feels like they're getting ready for something that they have advance notice of. It doesn't seem like normal operating procedure. It doesn't seem like normal behavior to get all ramped up like this. It doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem normal. It doesn't seem right. It concerns me. It should concern people, all of this stuff, because anything can happen at any time. If a meteor can explode over Russia one day, couldn't it happen out here? Couldn't it happen in your backyard? And listener, couldn't it happen in your backyard?
Right.
So that's why I would look at the camera and I'd make like that goofy face. But it's the reason why I watch Doomsday Preppers. It's the reason why I watched Revolution. It's not because I want things to hit the fan. I don't want things to go bad. It's just, what if? I don't want to live completely freaked out by any means, but the only time I feel freaked out is when I'm not in control or when I'm in a bad situation. Maybe a situation I put myself in because of lack of preparation or whatever the case may be. So buying what'd you say, 2,700 of these tanks, 2,700 light armored tanks, the M.
Yeah, that are basically
add to it 2 billion
to...
bullets, and you should be concerned.
Right. Yeah, and Seth's saying here that Corvair was unsafe at any speed. Yeah, they did a Top Gear last year. Oh yeah, there you go, the Pinto, the Maverick. Oh, they had the Ford Maverick. That's 3 cars that I've seen featured in on Top Gear, like how unsafe they actually were. But I mean, all those cars are from the 70s. So why are they all of a sudden coming out? Imagine having a propane tank, permanently inside your car. You can imagine getting rear-ended. And smashing into a propane tank. That probably doesn't sound like a very, just one little spark, and you're going to be, you and whatever passengers are probably going to be combusted pretty I don't want to think about that, but we'll see how that develops, and the future of propane run cars. I can't help that cause, I wouldn't think. And I would think if I was a cab driver in Las Vegas, I'm going to be a little bit more apprehensive about getting into one of those vehicles. So, anywho, Brian, I think we're approaching a break here.
Let's go to the break.
All right. Oh, hey, here, Mystery Guest just put an article up. I'm going to check this one out here on natural gas cars and trucks are for sale. I'm going to look at that, and we'll discuss on the other side. We also have a lot of other news to get to, and I haven't even been looking at the studio. So I give out the number, and I'm not even looking at anything. I don't know if
Blake. Blake.
What a terrible host. I know. Sorry. Take a week off, and I've forgotten how everything works. So I do apologize, but we'll see.
Well, let's run the break and get right back to it then.
Awesome. See you in 2 minutes. Thank you, everybody.
Hey guys, Proof here. Guess what? I just got a cell phone. Hey, for everyone that knows me, I'm not a fan of cell phones, but I just signed up with a company called Solave. And Solave is offering a plan right now with unlimited phone, text, and web for only $49 a month. Plus, if you refer a friend or two, you get a discounted rate for everyone you refer, for as long as they have Solave, not just for the first month, but for the whole time that person has Solave. You sign up enough people, and Solave pays you every month. What other cell phone company is going to pay you for service? Anyway, go to solavei.com/freedomizer. That's Solave, SOLAVEI.com/freedomizer. Learn all about it. Plus, and another kicker, if you sign up 3 people under you, you'll get another month for free as well. Plus, they're going to pay you cash. Anyway, solave.com/freedomizer.
We are Critical Immunity with Larry and Renee. Our show will cover current events, national health news, nutrition, emergency preparedness, and organic farming, and various emblems and tools to thrive and survive. We hope you tune in and join in our discussion of health, liberty, preparedness, and survival. Join our hosts, Larry and Renee, with guest callers always welcome.
Hi, this is Mary Lou Van Houten, co-host and producer of Gadsden Rising on FreedomizerRadio.com. Join host Libby Gadsden and me every Monday through Thursday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time as we talk with cutting-edge guests about the truth of a variety of topics. We are 100% free speech. Gadsden Rising on Freedomizer Radio, because you can handle the truth.
Rob Now and Live is a show exposing the fallacy of the right-left paradigm while promoting liberty and freedom. A plethora of guests will challenge the establishment, mainstream media, the New World Order, and hopefully you. Listen to Rob Now and Live Sundays between 3 and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on the Freedomizer Radio Network.
Lindsey Williams on Freedomizer Radio.
Proof Negative, I love the title that you use on your radio. I've thought about it ever since we talked on off of the air the other day, and I'd say that's an excellent title for a talk show host.
All right, and we are back down the home stretch. Blake the Eccentric, along with Brian the Brain Engelman of the New American Media. And to wrap up the Eccentric perspective here on Freedomizer Radio, kind of our last, what do we have, about 26 minutes and change left in the broadcast. So I got to wrap up all the loose ends. Do a little, what do you call it, Brian? The news what?
The top news story extravaganza, bonanza, buffet, fiesta, siesta, ta-da.
Excellent. All right, well, I just checked this out, the alternative fuel vehicles here. So natural gas cars for sale, new and used. So I don't know, but I'm worried about I'd be worried about my personal safety. I'd be worried about getting rear-ended, especially in a place like Vegas where you've got 24-hour drinking, lots of crazy drivers on the road. Just an accident waiting to happen. Doesn't sound like a good idea. But, yes, thank you for the post here, because there are actually, and they've been around a while, I guess. Or maybe these are modified. These are on eBay. People are putting them up. So maybe they've converted the engines. I'm not sure. I don't know. Interesting. Would you want to get natural gas or propane on your car there, Brian?
I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on that. That sounds pretty unnecessarily risky. However, would I fly to Mars in a trip that would take 500-something days? Maybe. So, crazy is relative.
Yeah, not exactly. I would not. I would choose not to be a part of that mission. I mean, it'd be awesome if it all worked out. Obviously, you go, you'd be heroes for generations. You'd go down forever. You'd be a rock star for life, going on that first manned mission to Mars and coming back to tell the tale. That'd be certain, but not really my thing. Not one to take those types of risks. So no thanks for this guy. But let's see. So where do we go here? We got to start our news blitz here. I don't know where to start here. Brian, did you hear about the no set price for the meeting with Obama? This kind of article fell under the radar a little bit. I think it was released on a Friday.
You mean the $500,000 to buy access to meet with the president and shape public policy? Really, that one?
Yes, and it was also one of the few times where we actually saw the press actually, grill Jay Carney and maybe make him a little uncomfortable and ask him a real question and insist on getting a proper answer. And it was nice. It was fun watching him sweat and dodge questions and kind of bolt out of there. That was also pretty hilarious. So, but I guess they've had some time to rethink it. I haven't had a chance to check out the latest video, or if this is just the same video from the other week. But yeah, it looks like you can buy the president's time for you got a $500,000 lying around. You too can make your voice heard with the president.
Well,
right?
Yeah, it sounds rational. And speaking of rational, this is one that I have here from March 3rd. This is from myfox8.com. 7-year-old suspended for alleged pastry gun.
Right.
So this is in Baltimore. A 7-year-old has been suspended from school after officials said he chewed his toaster pastry. Why don't they just call it a Pop-Tart or why don't they just call it a toaster pastry? I don't know.
Right.
I
heard pastry, and but it was a Pop-Tart.
Well, anyway, whatever. It could be an Aldi brand of toaster pastry. It could be Aldi's brand of toaster pastry. Anyway, Baltimore 7-year-old suspended from school after officials said he chewed his toaster pastry into the shape of a gun and said bang bang. 7-year-old Josh Welsh and his father said the disruption resulted to a 2-day suspension for the second grader in Brooklyn Park. It was already a rectangle, and I just kept on biting it and tore off the top, and it kind of looked like a gun. But it wasn't, he said. Wow. I'm glad he clarified that he didn't turn it into a real gun. I'm glad that the 7-year-old did clarify. I didn't turn this into a real gun. It was still a toaster pastry-shaped gun. I mean, I've had it with all this PC crap regarding guns and revolving around it.
Well, I don't know, Brian. What would how would you feel if you saw that and you were there and you were at that table and he pointed that at you?
I would be very fearful of my health and safety. Right. I would probably just pass out from the shock and maybe just fall under the table and hope that he didn't pull the trigger. I lost in he didn't pull the filling. I lost entire summers playing War in my woods with friends in the forest and in the backyards and making little forts and going on little fake missions and having G.I. Joes and doing all that sort of stuff. I lost entire summers hanging out with my friends and playing fake war. And guess what? I never grew up and did anything to somebody. This zero tolerance policy is just, it would be laughable if it wasn't so stupid. It would be funny if it wasn't so serious. I mean, if you bring in a real firearm to school and use it, you should go to jail. I don't know. A 7-year-old can't chew a pastry and say bang bang. Why? Why not? I did.
Well, maybe you should go to jail now, Brian. Why should you, just because it's been 25 years, you think you're above the law now? All right.
Is there a statute of limitations on pastry-based offenses?
I don't know. Maybe there's. Maybe they going to have to reevaluate all this.
Oh, Blake, I'm about ready to reevaluate my entire life, having to continuously subject myself to these types of ridiculous stories. I swear, it ages a man. This type of work ages a man, Blake.
Right. The second one in Baltimore, by the way.
Well, I blame Joe Flacco's new contract. That's the problem. I blame the Baltimore Ravens. Yep.
Yeah, 'cause the other kid was wearing a Ravens jersey. Yeah, right. A little, what was it? I think he was just using his fingers or his hand or something, and just bang, bang. And they suspended him for 2 days, I believe. I'll have to double check that one.
Well, he shouldn't have used his fingers. People might get the wrong idea about things.
Right.
I swear, these people that turn something like that into like one of their causes, one of their life causes, well, they just don't know the ramifications. Shut up. You know, thinking about things or joking about things does not equate to being a bad person. I am just so sick of it, Blake. But I digress.
All right, it's fun to cover. All right, so what else do we have here? Somebody in the chat room, I think it was Cowgirl, was saying that potential impeachment for Obama on March 23rd. I'm not really sure. I've heard a few of these things, but I've heard that there's
sounds likely.
CPAC coming up.
Likely.
Who knows? I know Walter Jones has been calling for this. I don't exactly know. I know there's a CPAC conference. I did find a little story out of the Western Center for Journalism today about CPAC, and that Sheriff Joe's investigator Mike Zullo is going to be meeting with congressmen there, and hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. And I'm still, I forgot to check. I haven't looked at the Orly Tate's website for a couple of weeks, so I haven't really been following that development as of late. And thought there was something else to that too. I can't remember. Maybe it was a story I found over the weekend and I already forgot about. More developments on that front as well. I don't know. Certainly, it seems like there's a lot of things that they could be impeaching him for, but still hoping to see some results. We'll see.
Well, I think there were plenty of things that Bush was crossing the line on as well, and then that never happened, did it?
No.
Never saw him get impeached over anything.
But at some point, I don't know how much longer they can keep doing these things. I don't know. I thought there was a story up before it's news on about that March 23rd date. I'm going to have to dig that up and find it. I'm not sure. Brian, do you have anything else on your radar? Or I can jump to the next story.
Just to follow up on that Florida sinkhole. I mean, they haven't even found his body. He just gets swallowed up by the earth. I mean, you want to talk about things you never think could happen in America. Oh, there'll never be martial law. Oh, there'll never be an economic collapse. Oh, things could never get this. The earth just swallowed up a dude while he slept. Just took him. They can't even pull his body out. He just disappeared into Middle Earth. We are living in ridiculous times, people. This story, okay, so something horrible happened, get his body out, have a funeral. No, he's gone. He just got swallowed up by the freaking earth, Blake. I know we're trying to talk about important news stories here.
Well, he was already buried, Brian. Too soon?
They said
too soon?
They said slap a tombstone on there and call it a day. I mean, he's already at least 6 feet underground. They're saying it could be 50 feet.
Dude, I bet Jeff Ross has got to be going nuts because they're already done with the season already of what's that show called?
The Burn.
The Burn, that's right.
He always does that
show. He's that sinkhole story. He's got to be. I'm sure he's dying to cover that. All right.
Yeah, Daniel Tosh can pick up the pieces.
Right. Dude,
sure
there's an article today out of from Michael Snyder. Why are giant sinkholes appearing all over America? Is something happening to the Earth's crust? I don't know quite about that, but there was some interesting links in this article. I don't know, Brian. I don't know if you've been following these things a whole lot, or if you think there's maybe underground cities or something like that, or maybe that was. had something to do with parts of it, but there's definitely these things are popping up. And I don't think Michael Snyder is making that assumption that there's underground cities or something, but I really don't know. But he did have a really cool link. I'm going to put this up if I can find it here, showing some of the photos of these things. You can maybe want to check these things out too as well, if I can if I can get this pulled up, showing all these things opening up. And it's like someone like Guatemala, and just there that are just amazing. There's just these huge holes. I haven't seen a whole lot about this Florida one, but yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, so that's on my radar. And anytime I think, oh, that could never happen here, I think of sinkholes where the earth just swallows a human being, just disappears somebody. When I think, oh, that could never happen. Oh, that's so far-fetched. That would never happen here. Oh, I saw the earth swallow a dude. So, it's just perspective.
Yeah, that's just off. Yeah, what are the odds of that? That's just, that's really crazy. I don't even know what to say. I really don't have anything to add to that. It's just some really bad luck, really bad place at the wrong time. You can't prepare for something like that, obviously. But anywho, where to go next, Brian? Do you have anything? I'm actually going to have to pull up a different article on that, but I will find that, and I will get those pictures up there. They're pretty cool looking.
No, there's really nothing else I have to think about. That's keeping me awake at night. That's pretty much the only thing that goes on in my brain these days is thinking about when is the earth going to swallow me whole. That's it. That's all that's on my radar.
Right. Well, that could be you want to get that law of attraction thing. I don't think you got too much to worry about in L.A., though. I don't know. Do they have, or do they? I'm not sure. Seem to be in certain specific regions. But, you guys got some weird issues over there.
We all have weird issues. I can see the T-shirts now. I can see the T-shirts for Los Angeles now. Hey,
you really could have an earthquake at any time. Yeah, you could just be Arizona Bay at any given time.
Learn to swim. See you down in Arizona Bay.
Absolutely. All right. How about naked man crashes vehicle into Susquehanna River after a high-speed chase?
Nice.
Was interesting. This is an awesome way to go. A man wanted for a carjacking in Maryland led police on a chase in York County, and he was going 90 miles an hour, trying to ram police twice, then drove a stolen minivan into this river that I cannot pronounce. So when they found him, this is the way to go. I mean, if you're gonna go on a big high-speed chase and go into the river and your carjacked car is sinking, what do you do, Brian? What do you?
I eat a toaster pastry. I eat a toaster pastry.
He got some toaster pastry. Right. Well, not this guy. He got on top of the vehicle that was sinking, naked, and was waving his underwear around as a signal, like, hey. That's probably what would cross your mind too, right? I don't know.
Like that would be the first.
That's got to be a great visual, yes.
Maybe when he goes in.
Vehicle.
Well, maybe when he goes under the water, and before it starts taking in water, he opens up the glove box in the stolen vehicle and reads the instruction manual. And of course, on page 1 it says, "Be careful. This object could turn over at high speeds. Don't take turns too quickly." It says, okay, so in case you become submerged in a sinking vehicle, please disrobe of all clothing so that you don't get dragged down by the clothing, and use your underwear to wave above your head in a circular manner, kind of what we call the helicopter, so that you can summon assistance before you're sunken down Titanic style. Right?
Right. So, yes, Goldsboro resident Adrienne Intrieri said she was in her home watching television when a car sped by with several police vehicles behind it. So I knew something was going on, she said. It's kind of crazy. Stuff like this doesn't happen around here. Doesn't that happen around you, Brian? You don't tend to see stuff like that. But anyway, it was a minivan floating down the river with a naked guy on it, waving his underwear over his head, said Michael Shirk of Goldsboro.
Yeah, well, look,
that's
we have
awesome.
Christopher
Dorner. If you're going to go to jail anyway, why not go out with a good story? All right. Anyway, something I dug up on Fark today.
I love
right,
that.
We got,
that is strange.
All right, we got 10 minutes left. Where to go? Got a locust alert in the Middle East as the plague descends on Egypt, creating a panic in Israel. I don't know. People are getting a little apocalyptic, biblical. We'll see. I don't know. Interesting.
Nice. So we got to watch out for that now. Not just meteors flowing through the sky, crashing into
meteors.
Cities. Now we got to watch out for locusts. Okay.
Right.
Perfect. Sinkholes,
right.
locusts, meteors. Okay, perfect. Hey, when do we get a new pope? When is that?
There's a development there. There's something on Drudge about that.
Let me clarify. I say we. I just mean humanity. I'm not a Roman Catholic.
Right.
I just mean when do we get a new pope? The proverbial we.
Yes, but speaking of that, we've got the Cardinals are beginning pre-conclave meetings amid scandals. We've got Cardinals from around the world gathered Monday inside the Vatican for their first round of meetings before the conclave to elect the next pope amid scandals inside and out of the Vatican and the continued reverberations of Benedict XVI's decision to retire. So just to kind of highlight a little section here, it says, separately, the Vatican is still reeling from the fallout of the scandal over leaked papal documents and the investigation by 3 cardinals into who was behind it. Now, Italian news reports have been rife with unsourced reports about the contents of the cardinals' dossier. Even if the reports are false, as the Vatican maintains, the leaks themselves confirmed a fairly high level of dysfunction within the Vatican bureaucracy, with intrigue.
Sounds like Congress.
With intrigues, turf battles, and allegations of corruption, nepotism, and cronyism at the highest levels of the church hierarchy.
Blake, the Pope is not a dictator. The Pope is not a dictator.
But that would have been awesome. Pope. They could have turned the Pope. They could have turned the office of the Pope into a dictatorship if he was completely senile. Because technically, you're supposed to die in office. So imagine if you're completely senile the last 5 years, and then the Vatican bureaucracy just says, today the Pope signed off on this document and this document. You got to wonder what kind of legislation has been passed when the Pope has been completely, basically rendered a puppet. So, I think it's pretty ridiculous that they serve until they're dead, because God knows what kind of, no pun intended there, what kind of things she could do with a puppet Pope. But,
the Pope,
looks like they got enough problems.
As we've said.
The what? The Popet. Very well.
The Popet.
All right, Brian, we got 6 minutes left here. Anything else on your radar before I find something?
I'm just really excited that sequestration hit and people are freaking out, and maybe we can continue this conversation and realize that you just look at the mathematics, and we got to figure out this whole budget thing. We got to find a better way forward, because unfortunately for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, we haven't addressed this problem, and it just gets worse the more you ignore it. It's like most health issues. If you wait forever, your chances of succeeding and becoming healthy again, they decrease because you waited so long that it got so bad. So I like that we're going through a sequester. I like that we're having the conversation, because we got to figure out how do we get through this. What's a smart way forward? Because I'm tired of the dumb
Paul.
ones.
Yes, and Ron Paul actually wrote a little something about the sequester today. Here, I'll just grab the highlight from the top here. So from Ron Paul today, despite what the media and politicians would have us believe, the United States did not collapse last Friday when the package of spending reductions known as sequestration went into effect. The financial markets hardly blinked as they have come to be more skeptical about these periodic government-hyped crises. And so what had been portrayed as a drastic reduction in government spending was merely a decrease in the projected rate of increase in government spending over the next decade. So under sequestration, government spending increases by $2.4 trillion over the next 10 years rather than $2.5 trillion without it. So basically, we are speeding toward collapse at only 100 miles an hour instead of 110 miles per hour. So there's from Ron Paul telling it like it is about the sequestration.
You know, that guy should run for president. He sounds kind of smart.
He should. Good God. All right, Brian, unless you've got something, I've got definitely one or two
it's all
other
you, brother.
things to grab. This one I like. This one I found I guess this would be the unintentional comedy here from another politician. This one is a state politician in Washington. This is who wants to tax bicyclists for exhaling CO2 when they ride, says Washington.
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Love it.
All right. So taxing the air we breathe may be coming to Washington State. Yes, the insane taxing of every behavior is rising to a whole new level with the proposed bike tax in Washington. So according to lawmakers who proposed the bike tax, it would help raise $1 million over the next decade to be used for road maintenance. The new $25 tax will be applied on every bike sold for over $500 in the state. So one Washington lawmaker is making a twisted argument in support of the new fee. Representative Ed Orcutt wrote in an email to a bike shop, no matter. And it's dead seriously. This guy really believes this, that the CO2 that bicyclists exhale while riding is just one of the reasons he supports the bike tax. And here is his quote. Since CO2 is deemed a greenhouse gas and a pollutant, bicyclists are actually polluting when they ride, Orcutt wrote. Therefore, they should pay taxes to help the environment as well as the roads. So here, you got to hear this. So this is in his email to the bike
Are you
shop.
telling me it gets better than this? You're telling me
Yes.
it gets better than what you've already said.
Well, you got to have
now.
the science. Well, here's the science. Here's the reason for it. And this is dead serious. Also, you claim that this is environmentally friendly to ride a bike. But, if I am not mistaken, a cyclist has an increased heart rate and respiration. That means that the act of riding a bike results in greater emissions of carbon dioxide from the rider. Since CO2 is deemed to be a greenhouse, yes. So basically, the logic is that since you're working up your cardio, you're breathing heavily from exercising, you're actually putting more CO2 out. So therefore, you need to be taxed, which is odd because now that kind of ties into that headline story of Michelle Obama telling you to walk your dog more. Well, doesn't that now that the Obama daughters walking Bo the dog, that would mean that the Obama daughters and Bo the dog itself would all be breathing more heavily. So that kind of contradicts everything.
I love that we have to micromanage every aspect of everybody's life to the point where trying to tax the breath that you breathe is not just a joke. It's not just a punchline anymore. We have entered crazy town. This is officially, through the looking glass, they're taxing the air that you breathe. I think it's a great idea. There's no way that could possibly backfire, and I don't think that's the government overstepping its bounds at all. And I'm working on my sarcasm. So
very well.
Hopefully
Brian.
that came through.
Excellent. Very well. And actually that is the, yes, Tessa, that is actually for heavy breathing. The more you, work up that exercise and the more you're polluting the world with carbon dioxide. So
well, they better tax Las Vegas, like the Bunny Ranch, and they better tax the Valley over here in Los Angeles, because if heavy breathing is something that is taxable now, watch out, professional workers of the night. You're about ready to enter a new tax bracket. So anyway, that's all I got. Make sure you're following Blake on Twitter. He's at Eccentric99. Check out his homepage, eccentricperspective.com. Please search The New American Media and like our Facebook page. Follow us. We're at American_media_ on Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The New American Media, and check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Blake, that's all I got, bro.
All right, Brian, thank you. Pleasure as always. And everybody, please stick around for Gadsden Rising coming up right after this quick commercial. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
Get ready for the epic new documentary adventure ride of your life. Shade the Motion Picture. A view into the globalist domain and embellish and burlesque film.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Governments do not operate the way you think they do. Banks do not do what you think they do. The police department is not here for what you think it is. Nothing in your world works the way you think it does.
We've never let them know that their world government has been identified, and they thought they'd include the world economy to bring in a worldwide police state, but instead it's going to bring them down.
You have to stand up, speak out.
Shade the Motion Picture. Order your copy of the DVD today at shadethemotionpicture.com.
Hey guys, Proof here. Guess what? I just got a cell phone. Hey, for everyone that knows me, I'm not a fan of cell phones, but I just signed up with a company called Solvay. And Solvay is offering a plan right now with unlimited phone, text, and web for only $49 a month. Plus, if you refer a friend or two, you get a discounted rate for everyone you refer for as long as they have Solvay, not just for the first month, but for the whole time that person has Solvay. You sign up enough people, and Solvay pays you every month. What other cell phone company is going to pay you for service? Anyway, go to solvay.com/freedomizer. That's Solvay, SOLABEI.com/freedomizer. Learn all about it. Plus, and another kicker, if you sign up 3 people under you, you'll get another month for free as well. Plus, they're going to pay you cash. Anyway, solvay.com/freedomizer.
How do you wake up in the morning? Do you jump out of bed with a smile? Or do you hit the snooze button over and over again? Tune in each Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Time for Wake Up and Live. I'm your host, Christine Siegel. On my show, you will learn valuable health and wellness tips that will boost your energy levels. Are you eating a sad diet? Learn how to find quality, nutrient-dense foods. Life is what you make of it. Only you can change your life. You are that important. Join me, Christine Siegel, on Wake Up and Live here on Freedomizer Radio.
This is Debbie.
And I'm Michael, along with CD, the Constitutional Defender Dog. Is mainstream media giving you the real stories, or are they just telling you what they want you to hear?
Join us for Securing Liberty on Freedomizer Radio, Thursday evenings at 11 p.m. Central.
We'll be joined by great guests, discuss interesting and important topics, current events, maybe even a little humor. Be prepared for anything.
It will be 90 minutes of information sure to help you on your quest for truth. So join Securing Liberty at 11 p.m. Central on Freedomizer Radio.
Rob Now and Live is a show exposing the fallacy of the right-left paradigm while promoting liberty and freedom. A plethora of guests will challenge the establishment, mainstream media, the New World Order, and hopefully you. Listen to Rob Now and Live Sundays between 3 and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on the Freedomizer Radio Network.
Please learn more about Freedomizer Radio by going to freedomizerradio.com and also Facebook us right at freedomizerradio.com. Catch you there.
Hi, Libby.
Well, hello, Mary Lou, and welcome everybody to Gadsden Rising. And I'm Libby Gadsden, and today's our special guest is Brian Kelly and Seraph, and Mary Lou Van Houten is our co-host and producer. And Mary Lou, please tell the audience about our guest today.
Brian is the co-author of the American Kabuki blog. He's been helping to spread the message of the One People's Public Trust, otherwise known as the OPPT, since the movement became public on December 26, 2012. Along with Lisa Harrison, Chris Hales, and Bob Wright, he hosts the OPPT-IN blog talk radio show on Freedom Reigns on Monday nights at 1 p.m. Pacific, as well as the Collective Imagination show on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific to share the latest updates and developments of the One People's Public Trust. Thank y'all so much for coming on the show. It's great to have y'all.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
And I see you have your own show as well, Brian, Freedom Reigns.
Well, Freedom Reigns, we took over from Santos Bonacci a few weeks ago. We had over 106,000 people live on our first debut, and we're up over about 275,000 live people and into the millions, into the archives, which airs every Monday night. We're actually doing one tonight, and it starts at 4 o'clock. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, very. And where is it coming out of? California or?
Well, we're all over the place. We have, for as far as the people that are on every week, I'm in San Diego. Lisa Harrison is out in Australia. Chris Hales is in the UK, and then Bob is in Philadelphia, and Seraph is Minnesota. Seraph, where you at, my man? Minnesota. So we're all over the map. So it's Mondays for some of us, Tuesdays for others. So it's interesting when we have to talk offline because we have to coordinate all of our time schedules. But it's been a blast.
Yeah, we did the same thing because Libby's over in Europe and I'm in Atlanta, and y'all are you're in California, Brian, and so Seraph's in the Midwest. So
I know you were different.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of figured you were from Atlanta because I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and I can spot a southern accent a mile away, and it didn't take long to spot that one.
I didn't realize how southern I sounded until I got on the radio.
Oh, right. It's more fun. We have boring accents out here in California, so.
Well, it sounds like you have a variety of accents, Australian, and yeah, it's quite an interesting accent too.
It's an eclectic group.
And how did you all get together?
So, wow, that's a pretty loaded question because it's a really long story. Books will be written about it someday. But we'll give you the Cliff Notes version. Why don't we start there?
Yeah, well, we like long stories. It's okay.
Well, we have an hour and a half tonight, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, Seraph and I both like to talk, so we could run this 3 hours if we needed to, but we'll do our best.
I'm trying to dial it back a little bit myself right now, so.
We'll go back and forth, my man, because we're both working toward the same cause. The One People's Public Trust, if you Google it today and you put quotations around it to get rid of all the other junk that'll come up when you know all the other things that have one or people's or public or trust, comes out at 1.23 million responses, websites to go to in less than a second. So it goes to show how big the movement is. The trustees came together. Heather Ann Tucci-Giraffe is one of the trustees of One People's Public Trust. She was a bar licensed attorney for 20 years and had a deep background in working in banking and a lot of many years of experience in working in UCC law. And throughout those years of being in that industry and rubbing shoulders, amidst all the corruption that we all know has plagued the banking and financial and judicial parts of the world, not just this country. She got sick of it, and she realized that she could either keep staying in it, or she could dedicate her life to helping to create a solution. So back during I think it was the end of 2009, she decided to let her home go into foreclosure so she could track the corruption via the paper and the money back to the source the sources that were creating it. And she wrote up a report about it called the Paradigm Report, and it's all over the internet to be read. But during the course of that research, the corruption that was uncovered was so thick, and there was so much of it, that the determination that was made was that the only way to fix it was to cancel out the systems that created it from the root or from the prime of their creation. So essentially what they did was they used Heather's knowledge of law and of the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, to go in and back engineer the systems that were created for deception to turn those very systems back onto the perpetrators and the creators that developed them to control and manipulate the masses, the world, really. And so they went in and they did a set of UCC filings that essentially foreclosed on the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Hague, the BIS, or the Bank for International Settlements, and the Holy See, and all corporations, really. And so the way that the UCC law is structured is that any claim that is made, in order for it to stand as law, as registered, or to be rejected, it has to be rebutted. So when a claim is made and it goes unrebutted, that means it stands as law. And so these particular set of UCC filings were unrebutted because they're unrebuttable. So that's kind of where the whole thing started. So throughout the course of 2012, the One People's Public Trust, was formed, and they were working behind the scenes to essentially take care of all the things that they needed to take care of in the background in order for their work and everything that they did with the UCC to be made public, and to basically unravel all of the corruption and bring that out into the light. So we were contacted, myself, American Kabuki, and a couple others, on December 26th because we put out on the blogs, we were told by Heather during a series of emails that went back and forth that a blog post that we put out with an interview with an insider that I actually did was able to expose some agendas of some supposed good guys that were working on the good guy side to try to bring about all this change. It exposed their greedy agendas, because really when you trace this back to the source, there's been a resistance movement that's been playing out behind the scenes for a very long time. Some can trace it back to the very early 1900s, after the Federal Reserve was formed.
Wow.
And so, when all this stuff came out to the forefront, all of a sudden a lot of information started rolling out. And when we got into contact with Heather, we started, blogging these UCC filings, and it was overnight that we went from a few people knowing about it in the public eye to now, this all started on the 26th of December. If you were to Google One People's Public Trust, you might get 1,000 responses. Now it's up over 1 million, and it's only been just a little over 2 months. I mean, I'm on 5 radio interviews this week alone.
Wow.
Another one later today. So that's where we're at. Seraph got involved about a month ago, and he's part of the radio team, and that's why I invited him to be here on the call with us, because he got a much more extensive understanding of the background of the logistics of the legal aspect of all these things, because he's been involved in that part of the process longer than I have.
Wow.
Okay. And so how did you start in the process, Sarah?
It was, how sometimes when you're online a lot, you find yourself involved in something, and then you look back and say, well, how did I even get connected to this? And that's kind of how it happened. I don't remember to this day how I came across all of this, but when I started researching it, I go from a premise that I don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And once I establish that in my mind, then whenever somebody brings something to me and puts it on in front of me to look at the data, I automatically suspend any disbelief. Because the only way I can say, well, that's not true or that's not right, I would have to know that. And if I choose to not know anything, then that means I have to research it in order to at least get an understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, I've been notorious in my life for being able to get all the way to the horse's mouth whenever somebody brings something up. So I didn't stop searching and looking until I had a 2.5-hour conversation with Heather.
Wow.
So once I got to that point, I had already pretty much convinced myself that, yes, this is at the very least legitimate. And then after a 2.5-hour conversation with Heather and realizing that this wasn't just about paperwork, it wasn't just about the UCC, this has a multidimensional aspect that is more far-reaching than I even know at this point. I call Heather my little sister. We're like brother and sister now, and when somebody, like, she was on a radio talk show and there was a person who was basically harassing her on the call, and I felt like flying in and choking her out because that's just who I am. I took the name Seraph. That's my actual name. I technically changed my name to Seraph GL less than a month ago, and it had everything to do with the One People's Public Trust. And Seraph is not technically my first name. Seraph is a title, not of nobility, but like my job, like lieutenant or sergeant or plumber or firefighter. It's the name of an individual seraphim, which is an angelic being that is a guardian. And I'm Seraph, guardian of that which matters most. And what matters most to me is freedom. Everything emanates from that. If you're not free, then you really can't do anything. The sad part about our nation in America is we have a false sense of freedom. It doesn't exist at all. We're actually more enslaved than a lot of countries that we call third world. And it's based on that there's no slave like the one that doesn't know they've got shackles.
Oh, absolutely.
And also coming from my ethnic background being that of so-called blacks, African Americans, if you will. I don't like either title, but because that's governmental as well. But that's a whole other talk show. But coming from that place alone, I understand the governmental reach of how they can enslave you. And they started from birth. And it just keeps going. And the sad part about the enslavement in our country of America is the ones erroneously known as white people. A lot of them are under the impression that they don't know slavery. They have no concept of it. But each human being born in the country of the United States of America is a slave at birth. And we are used like ever-ready batteries. They use us and they suck up our potential energy from birth, and then they suck our energy all the way through life. And everything about it is done via the UCC. So I had my home.
Tell us what the UCC is.
I'm
What
sorry.
was the question?
For our audience, Seraph, tell us what the UCC is.
Well, the UCC is titled the Uniform Commercial Code. The UCC was established so that every nation, country, state on the planet would have a uniform way of dealing with each other in commerce. That way, you can't deal with China differently than you deal with India, differently than you deal with Botswana land. You have to deal with all of them in commerce the same way. So that system was designed so that whatever is done uniformly. Kind of like how you go to McDonald's anywhere in the world, it all tastes the same.
Right. Yeah.
It's set up that way. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about it is, once it was found out that every government worldwide, counties, cities, towns, everything involved is a corporation. And it can be looked up on Dun and Bradstreet. It's an actual for-profit corporation. Once that was established, then we know that corporations are only created in commerce. There's no other reason to have a corporation unless you're trying to make some money in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And once the UCC was found to be the root entity that all things are done through, and all things, meaning you can't find a thing that occurs in this world that's not connected directly to the UCC. And uniform also can stand for universal, and that's where the multidimensional part of it comes, because it has been shown that the UCC is the pattern used universally. And our UCC that we use in America and they use in London and England and everywhere in the world is a microcosm of the universal pattern, which basically means those systems are not corrupt in and of themselves. They are corrupted by those who seek to enslave others via that system.
Yeah, and that's actually part of the reason why the UCC filings, which can be found directly on the UCC, they stand unrebutted, because if the governments were to try and rebut them, it would be self-admission that they are not in fact governments, but they are set up as corporations, which is really a big part of, if you really try to pull the whole thing apart, you realize, well, if the government's a corporation, United States of America Corporation, all the other, if you go to Australia, the Commonwealth of Australia, if you look that up, you find that the Commonwealth of Australia is registered as a corporation in Washington, D.C. How does that make any sense? So has anybody ever heard of a corporation having citizens?
No.
No, corporations have employees. They have assets. They have, it's all about commerce. It's all about the books. So that's how the whole thing was able to become unraveled, because right now, the people that are following this, and we're into the millions now. Those that are trying to find fault are saying, well, if the Federal Reserve and the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of International Settlements and the United States of America Corporation are foreclosed, why do we not know about it yet? Well, that's simply because one of the last strongholds of control that the power elite still retain is that of the mass media. And so it's akin to the analogy we like to use, and when you unplug something from the wall, there's those few moments where the electricity that's still in the cord is still powering the light or whatever it might be. Or when your car runs out of gas, it can run on fumes for a little bit longer. Well, what's going on right now is the plug's been pulled from the wall, the car's out of gas. We're just waiting for it to reach that moment where the juice is gone. And it's at that moment where it comes out into the open and it explodes onto the scene, and it's out there for everybody to know. And so what we're doing right now is we're pushing this information out grassroots through calls like this one that we're on. I did an interview with a radio station out of Italy the other day. I've done one in the Netherlands. We got people contacting us from all around the world that want this information because you can't get it on mainstream media yet. Max Kaiser did Max Kaiser from the Kaiser Report, I believe he's on Fox News, I can't remember his network, he was the first mainstream outlet to make mention of the UCC filings causing global ripples.
I saw that.
That's the UCC filings that One People's Public Trust did. So we're pushing at grassroots as much as we can right now because it gives us something to do, and we're very passionate about it. But we don't expect it to take months on end or years on end for this to break out of the open. We all believe that moment is coming, and it's coming in the very near future where this whole thing explodes and there's no denying it anymore. It's just out, and it just is. That's what we're all looking forward to, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the information is out there, and it's just a matter of continually getting it out there and superimposing ourselves over the mass media, which is, I think, our biggest task. Would you agree, guys?
Yes, totally. If I may interject one piece of comment that I felt like I should say this, and that is, let's look at history, true history, absolute data, and then we understand what both of these two sentences I'm going to say really mean. If you look at, if you're a Christian, or even if you're not, if you just read certain documents, in Ephesians 6 and 12, and I'm quoting from the King James Version of the Bible, it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." And then you look at the next sentence, which says, "The pen is mightier than the sword," and that was coined by Edward Bulwer Lytton. Now, those two sentences sum up the UCC and how it's been used against us since the beginning of time, if you will. Because every nation has been built by the people who are flesh and blood. But we're not fighting against people. We're fighting against the principalities, against those powers that were the rulers of the darkness of this world. And they make it spooky in the Bible with a lot of, spooky sounding stuff. But it's really not spooky at all. There's nothing scary about it, really. If you think about it, documents, paperwork is what held us captive. And all Heather and the trustees did was go inside that beast and implode it from inside without having to swing a sword. And the reason why it worked was because you can't live a fiction, create a fiction, and put everybody underneath that fiction. And then when you go inside that fiction and say, "Okay, fiction, say who you are, who you be, who be you." There's no way you can say who you are without exposing who you are.
And both of you have mentioned Heather a few times. What's Heather's or can you tell us how we can reach Heather? Maybe we'd like to have her on the show.
That's like saying I want to book the president to come at my school's high school graduation.
Okay.
Right. And it's not like she doesn't see herself in any kind of lofty position. She's just so busy and so hard to get a hold of. Now, we can both approach her and say, "Look, they'd like to put you on the show," and if she finds the time to do it, she will do it because she's done radio. It's just as hard at this point. It may have been easier a month ago, but at this point, you're getting pretty much as close to the flame as you can get.
Yeah, Seraph makes a good point. I mean, Heather's one of those kinds of people. She doesn't want any glory, any fame. She doesn't need a medal of honor. She felt that she had an opportunity to do something to help out, and so she doesn't want any extra special attention or glory. She's just, what Heather's doing right now behind the scenes is she's taking care of a lot of things to make all of this come out into the open. So, whereas you could probably Skype Seraph or I most any time of the day, and we'll probably get right back to you. But she's just so busy with making this a reality that her time is pretty limited.
Oh, that's cool. We're going to have to take a commercial break, but when we get back, I want to talk about the American Kabuki blog and also get back to corporations and the way that they're operating right now over the world. There's things I think that our audience needs to understand better about the fact that corporations no longer have employees, they have slaves. So we'll be right back. This is Gadsden Rising. I'm Libby Gadsden with Mary Lou Van Houten, our co-host and producer, and our special guest today is Brian Kelly and Seraph. We'll be right back.
We are so pleased to announce ESP Botanicals is now sponsoring Freedomizer Radio. They have a bath and body line of products made for keeping your skin beautiful and healthy, but it's also for psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, and dermatitis treatment. They are meticulously prepared skincare products made from the best botanicals available, committed to buying only from the growers when they can and using the highest quality cold-pressed oils, botanical organic additives, the best steam-expressed essential oils, and the least processed carrier oils that are available in today's marketplace. Pamper yourself or someone special in your life. Give the gift of beautiful, glowing skin. ESPbotanicals.com. Thank you so much for supporting us at Freedomizer Radio.
Hello again, Freedomist Proof is here, and I want to talk to you about a brand new soda maker called SodaStream. Now, the Proof House has had SodaStream for about a year, and we love the thing. We use it quite often. With SodaStream, you can have fresh-made soda in seconds. One of the big things we like about it is that there's no high-fructose corn syrup and no aspartame. There's over 60 flavors, or you can create your own. Not just sodas, they also have iced teas and energy drinks. Here at the Proof House, we make egg cream sodas all the time. Some other facts to consider here: there's no electricity, no more wasted bottles and cans, and the most important thing is that it tastes great. Keep in mind, too, this is a perfect family present for Christmas, or, hey, just surprise the family with something great. Also, for a limited time, there's free shipping, so go to freedomizerradio.com and look for the SodaStream link, and I hope you check out the product. That's SodaStream right on freedomizerradio.com.
Tune in each Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Debbie Brooke, founder of Homeopathy World Community on Freedomizer Radio, talks about stress management and homeopathy. Get healthy with energy medicine.
Hey, Freedomists, join me, Proof Negative, weeknights, 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific, as we fight the New World Order together, right here on Freedomizer Radio, your exclusive home of the Proof Negative Show.
C is for cookie, and that's good enough for me. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturdays. I love you, Miss Cookie. Join Cookie and me on See the Power in You.
You're listening to Freedomizer Radio at freedomizerradio.com. Join us in the chat room. You can also listen and participate by calling 347-324-3704. Like Freedomizer Radio on Facebook, and follow Libby Gadsden on Facebook. We're back.
Well, thank you, Mary Lou, and I'm Libby Gadsden. Welcome to the program, everybody. This is Gadsden Rising, and our special guest today is Brian Kelly and Seraph, and we're talking about, well, first of all, y'all have you're the co-author, Brian, of the American Kabuki blog. Tell me about that. What is that about?
First of all, it's americankabuki.blogspot.com if anybody wants to go out and check it out. So the American Kabuki blog was started in February of 2012, and I wasn't actually part of the starting. American Kabuki himself That's his alias, by the way. He started it in February to keep track of all of the corporate banker resignations. There was a time toward the end of February where chief-level banking officers, COO and CEO caliber from around the world were either quitting, retiring, disappearing, or dying in mass numbers. And over the course of about a 2 or 3 month time period, it was about February until maybe June or July, he had to stop keeping track because there were so many. I believe there's 650 some odd chief level bankers around the world. And so he knew that there was something going on, so he started the blog, and that particular exposure created a very popular forum for his blog to kind of be a expose for truth-related articles pertaining to any, alternative media type information. And so in a year, he's got about 7.4, I think it is now, million hits to the blog site.
Wow.
So what we found out later, when we finally got in touch with Heather and One People's Public Trust, is, first of all, everything is related. All the dots of data connect in some way, just like, every person and animal and all of existence are all part of the same cosmic fabric. All the data that's unfolding in the financial world, with big banks, big businesses, corporations, governments, it's all connected in some way, shape, or form. So what we found out when we came into contact with Heather is that the reason all these bankers were jumping ship or disappearing or what have you was because of the activity and the actions that the One People's Public Trust was doing behind the scenes. So that's something that we found out later, and it was a big aha moment for us. And that's kind of how the whole blog got started. I got involved when it was in about September. I sent an inside scoop to American Kabuki in regards to the school shooting, or excuse me, the movie theater shooting with James Holmes in Colorado, and he put the story that I sent him in on his blog. I had some inside info, so we got into contact that way. And then a couple months later, I did an interview with an insider named Poof. You may or may not be familiar with Poof's work. I think he's been putting out weekly updates for going on 10 years now. And
wow.
And he's a trustworthy source of information because a lot of the things that he reports come to fruition. So I did an interview with this guy, and I had a whole series of questions that because I've been following all this information, ever since I read David Wilcock's Financial Tyranny piece at the end of 2011. So, once you get a taste of truth, there's no going back. You just want more and more and more. And so when I saw the opportunity to do a consultation with this Poof gentleman, I recorded a call, and I sent it to American Kabuki. We reached out to Poof and asked if we could release it on the blog, and he said, some of the information that he shared with me in private was way too sensitive to go public at the time because it could mess up certain plans that were unfolding behind the scenes of the good guys making advances on, bringing everything that we're doing now out into the open. So he held us off for about 2 months. And so around, I believe, October, he said, okay, you can publish it this week. And we put it out on the blog, and it just went viral. I mean, it got like 9,000 or 10,000 hits in a couple hours. And so we got an email from Poof that said that we made some people in Hong Kong very angry, and we needed to pull it offline like now, or else they were going to be banging down our door and dropping lawsuits and God only knows what. It just sounded dangerous. And so we pulled it instantly. But at that time, American Kabuki asked me if I wanted to come participate with this blog to do interviews and podcasts. So that's kind of how I got involved with the blog. But fast forward to December 26th, when we spoke about it earlier, when Heather got into contact with us, the guy that supposedly was in Hong Kong, a guy by the name of General Wang, his agenda is what came out, and it helped the One People's Public Trust get him out of the way so they could make further progress. So she was emailing us to thank us. She had no intention of that being the catalyst that would bring all the information out to explode into the public like it has. But, everything happens for a reason. So it just happened to be that day where, everything started unfolding, and it's just been like a roller coaster ride ever since.
Wow.
And, it's been pretty surreal, but exciting to be a part of, to say the least.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's really interesting about the poop story.
Yeah, it is.
Because I remember when that came out, your interview with him, and I listened to about half of it, and then I think it was late at night, and I was kind of tired, and so I fell asleep, and the next morning I'm like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, we had to pull it pretty quick. I had a whole series of questions. I figured there's no way he's going to answer all these questions. They're just really sensitive. And I told him, I said, hey, I got a lot of questions here for you. I said, if you can't answer them, just let me know. I'll totally understand. He goes, just ask him, man. It's kind of one of those kind of deals. And so I asked him, and he answered everything that I had. I couldn't believe it. So I instantly knew, man, this is information that needs to get out because it's going to bring a lot of comfort to those that are still buying into the whole doom and gloom World War III timeline where everything just breaks out into corruption and there's going to be civil war and bloodshed. I wanted that to go out because that distinguished those assumptions that we're still on that road to New World Order, if you will. And so I was that's why I was so passionate in getting it out there. And it had a huge ripple. I mean, it got out for long enough for it to make a big impact, and it hasn't. We pulled it, and we haven't made it live again since, but we're kind of well beyond that point now. A lot of that stuff now is out in the open, but at the time it was it was pretty delicate.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm reading about the site, and you have how you can help article here, and reader article contributions are welcome for the audience. And I just want to let them know that I'm going to read from the blog that this blog was founded on the concept that all of us are smarter than just one of us, and that some of the best posts have come from the readers' research, and that you welcome all articles with good evidence and documentation about banking fraud, banking scandals, financial changes, and even about healing technologies, UFOs, and consciousness studies. And I think that all does come together because one of the things that we are suffering from is a degradation of our consciousness, and through the mass media, through advertising, through constant brainwashing from birth about products and how we should live and what we should eat, and just the fact that we think that we have to use money. Whereas when you think about it, why shouldn't we have the choice not to use money?
Seraph made a really good point at the beginning of this call, that he kind of moves forward under the idea that he knows nothing, because it's so true. We've been so lied to throughout our existence that it's been one of the biggest weapons to use against us is keep us in the dark of who we really are, and we won't ask questions, and we'll be happy with living the lives of it's funny to say that we're free. We're anything but free. We're slaves to the system, but we inside of all of us have the ability to break out from that freedom when we raise our awareness and we realize that we have the ability at any moment to take the shackles off our ankles and walk like a free man or a free woman. And so, we say it all the time. You can take the people out of slavery, but it's what takes the longest is taking slavery out of the people. Because once, there's when people start to wake up of who we really are and how we got here, I mean, those are concepts that have they'll change the landscape of the way we live our lives in the twinkling of an eye. And I don't have all the answers, just like nobody walking the earth right now has all the answers. But I have an open heart and an open mind to want to learn more. And so we're on the cusp of some serious, monumental, major, ridiculously cosmic shifts in the way that we operate as individuals and the way that we operate collectively with one another. And the ancients called this time 2012. You go back and you read, the Mayans and the Hopis and the Egyptians and all these societies that had nothing to do with each other. There was no texting or email or TV to watch. They all pointed to this time in evolution as a time of great change. And the ancients called it the shift of the ages. And we're going through this shift. A lot of people thought it was going to be a cosmic, December 21st thing. And there was a major energy shift that happened on December 21st, but not a lot of people could actually see it. So what we're going through now is this process of bringing the truth out into the light for all to see. And so there's what Heather calls absolute data, which is bring all the information out into the open, put it on the table, and let the people decide what they want to do with it, whether or not it resonates, and then we all have the ability to be and do as we please and live our lives the way that we feel, that we feel inspired to do so. So this is the most exciting time to be alive on a deeper, higher self level. We all chose to be here to experience this all together, and the excitement that comes from that, I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal because we're the luckiest people in the history of humanity to be alive at this time, to be experiencing this as it's unfolding.
Wow.
Well, I think you're right. It's in the sense that we have so much access now to knowledge that isn't barred from us, whereas it was before. And doors are opening toward avenues of better understanding of exactly what you said, who we are, how we came to be here, and why we're here. And it can really go very, very, very far beyond what our imaginations can conceive of, because we've been so trained to think otherwise. And what I said before the break was I'd just seen a program about people working in Dubai for these mega corporations, and they make the cars, the big Fords and all the big trucks that people use in the United States and everything. These workers come from Bangladesh and India. They work for $170 a month, and they work 12 hours a day. And they don't have any, their passports are taken from them by the corporations. They sleep in bunkers, and they have very, very basic conditions. But these are the products that Americans and other so-called civilized countries are using. They're being produced by slaves, essentially. So this is. Anyone want to jump in here?
Yeah, I just want to.
Seraph, that's you, my man.
From this perspective, let's just look at here in America. The people who work at, say, a Ford dealership, they probably can't afford the car at the company they work. Or the people who work to build Fords or build Chevrolets or build even the foreign cars that are built in this country. If you there's something wrong with a system where you work somewhere and don't make enough money to buy what you sell or buy where you work. Henry Ford made that very clear. Henry Ford made that clear when he first started his automobile manufacturing company. You don't have a real good business if the people you work for can't afford your product. That's just the way it is. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, who is going to build the better car? The guy who makes $8 an hour and works 12 hours a day, has no health insurance, no time off, and he's building a truck that's supposed to be high quality, or the guy who drives that same vehicle every day. He's going to have more pride in it, especially when he knows that I'm making a really good living doing what I do. So,
right.
you know, it's all relative, of course. It's always relative. I mean, there is no one in America, I don't care how poor and impoverished they think they are, that can complain if they ever spent one day in a slum in Bangladesh. They can't. They can't talk to me about poor. It's just like people here in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, who say, "Man, I live in a really bad neighborhood." I'm like, "Dude, really? You live in Minneapolis? You know what I mean? It's not like you're in, Mississippi. You know, where people live in lean-tos. You know, so it's always relative. But still, the thing that makes OPPT of great importance in my life is the fact that from the gentleman who's sitting in his office cubicle right now who makes $350,000 a year, he gets a bonus of $20,000 for Christmas. He has a company car, a company cell. He has all that. But he also has a wife, 2 children in private school. He has all the trappings. And he has bought into that system to the point he is 2 checks away from losing his stuff. From that guy all the way to the 3-year-old child lying on the desert floor in Somalia about 3 hours from dying of hunger. That scope, from that child to that guy, OPPT is established to benefit each and every human in that spectrum. The problem with a lot of people's programs and systems, look, I'm not saying that OPPT is the way. I believe freedom is like a mountain, and there's hundreds of thousands of roads leading up that mountain. Some will get you there a little faster, but they all are going to the same end, so they're all good. But what I like about OPPT is a lot of people's ideas of remedy are specific to specific things. When I lost my house in 2007, I had a group of people trying to show me how to eliminate that foreclosure via the magistrates and the post office and blah, blah, blah. But they never did anything of a holistic fashion, a manner whereby all humans were under the umbrella of truth, and all humans were being dealt with from one level down, creator, human. There's no middle sections, no middle conversations, no middle ground, no middle anything. Human, creator. And not necessarily just human, because OPPT is dealing from created to creator. There's nothing in the middle. So with that nothing in the middle, that means that no government, no principality, no hierarchy, no anything, no pope, no queen, no king, no serf, nothing is between creator and created. Everything under that was created by the created.
Well, there is a certain philosophy that we are the creator. That and not to sound too grandiose here, but all of us are God in a sense, in that we are the part of the creation, the creator, and so in the sense that we're part of the power. We've just been told that we're not, and we've been giving up that power, but we have that power.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but that's exactly what I believe. I didn't want to go there,
and that's why I was saying that. I thought I'll just jump in there and say it for you.
Ditto.
That's awesome.
We're all on the same page in that regard.
Exactly. We're all part of the process of, like like David Wilcock, the source field, the intelligent source field.
Right.
I believe that is the God that everybody speaks of. It's not a thing, not a person, place, or thing. We are all individuations, if you will, of the source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being.
And that's actually an illusion, our individuation.
It's an illusion.
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
because separation is the greatest illusion made by the Creator. So we, as sparks of creation, can find our way back to that oneness of all that is.
Exactly.
And that's the challenge. You know, the Creator created sparks of Himself so He can experience Himself, herself, itself, because it's all the same thing, the I Am presence, through all of us. And so the biggest challenge for humanity is realizing that separation is an illusion and coming together to co-create in harmony and in unity. And you know, one of the integral parts of what the One People's Public Trust did, and Seraph was kind of getting there, was they created a framework that has commandeered or repossessed all of the value that has been stolen from humanity for hundreds of years, because it's human value. We're all the value, but they've plundered and pillaged all of the precious metals and gold and silver, and that value has been corralled back. If you go into any of the Federal Reserves, you're not going to find any gold in there. You might find tungsten that's painted with gold. You know, and if you liquidated it down, you can make a nice pair of earrings. But that's about it. So what's happening is one of the elements of the One People's Public Trust is called the CVAC. And CVAC is CVAC stands for Creation's Value Asset Centers. And so the CVAC was developed to help to put the systems in place to redistribute the value of the world from the haves and give it back to the have-nots, or from the 0.5%. This is not 1%. It's like 0.1% of the people that really have had all this control. It's a very small group of people, I'm told, and bring that back to where we have the ability to redistribute that value for all to use, and for all to gain from. Create a scenario where poverty and hunger and all those things that Seraph was just mentioning, like the dying children in Somalia, will have the ability to create a means to an end to finally ridding the world. It's crazy that you have all these people with all this money and they're hoarding it while so many people are dying in the streets and going hungry, and these are all parts of the manipulation. There's cures for every major disease out there, every single one. We can cure ourselves, we just don't realize that we can yet because we believe that we can't. There's free energy devices that are available now that have the ability to pull the energy from the source field, from the ethers, to power houses in a box the size of a little mini refrigerator. We've talked to people that have actually gone inside of these factories that have seen these things in mass production, just waiting for the moment to where they can come out. So there's this huge orchestra of events that are all coming together behind the scenes right now. I don't know all of them. I've just only heard about some of them, enough to keep me super excited. I'm a passionate person by nature. You can probably tell by the way I talk, but man, this stuff's exciting because we're right on the brink of having all of this data and information and technology and cures all coming out in the open for every man, woman, and child to benefit from, that walks the face of God's green earth.
Yeah, absolutely. There's technology. Well, I wouldn't call it technology, but there's basically natural remedies for most quote-unquote incurable diseases that people have to be hooked on big pharma pills forever and ever, and they don't get better. They just get worse. Whereas there are natural cures out there that can cure them easily without the agony they go through in taking chemotherapy or the other medications that people have to take for HIV or AIDS.
Yep. No money in the cure. The money's in the medication.
I can speak to that in the sense that my mother passed away from cancer 5 years ago in late February. And here's what I believe. Two things. One, the body can cure itself.
Mm-hmm.
It was designed to cure itself. Now, all you have to do is give it the right stuff. All right? Now, with respect to cancer, I mean, cancer's had cures for years and years and years and years and years, but there's no money in it. Now, once you eliminate the profit factor, you know, there's nothing wrong with owning stuff. There's nothing wrong with having stuff. There's nothing wrong with having as much stuff as you can pile into your house, because it's just stuff, all right?
Right.
But the problem is when you hoard so that someone else can't. It's the difference between being greedy and wanting to be abundant. Abundance comes without anyone else suffering. Greed is when I have to take from you in order for me to have. That's greed, and that's the bad move. Now, but I'm going to say something that some of the listeners won't like. You're not going to like it. I'm going to tell you up front.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
everything that we in this world are experiencing that we would call negative, bad, wrong, evil, whatever, is all our fault. And the reason why it's our fault is because I am you, you are me, we are one. We have allowed our own playing the game as if we don't know. We've allowed that to the degree that we've forgotten that we are all the same. We're all one. We're all one.
Well, the way I like to put it, Seraph, is I like to say that we can take responsibility. And we can start
the ability to respond. Exactly. So right now, we're not, OPPT, in my opinion, is not fighting anything. OPPT is not fighting against anything. All OPPT is doing is reminding us, in other words, turning our mind back on, reminding us of who we be. And once you know who you be, then you will do as you be, and then you will have as you do.
Exactly.
The problem is we've been fighting. We've been fighting the forces of evil. What do you mean? That means you're fighting against yourself. That's ridiculous.
Well, all it does is add energy to the evil, really.
This is why I love this guy, and I asked him to come on the show. And it's funny because, I mean, Seraph makes such a great point. You know, it's when you really step back and look at it, you know, Yogananda, he has a story where he talks about, you know, you go to the movie theater, right? You're looking up at the screen, and you see all these you see all this, you know, these amazing lights and, you know, these amazing pictures and images and scenes. Well, all those things, whether it's a horror movie, an action movie, a drama, whatever it is, it all comes from the same source, which is that light and that projector that projects all those things. All those people on that screen are just actors, right? But they're not. It's not what's really going on. It's hocus pocus, right? It's all coming from that light. Those are all colors that blend together that make those things. So don't focus on the screen. Focus on the light, and that light is what creates all of us. So all of these, every single one of us, we're an actor. We're playing a role. We're playing a part in this cosmic picture show. Right, so these guys that you call them the cabal, call them the dark forces, call them the corporate elite, whatever you want to call them, they took on some of the hardest roles as actors in this cosmic play. They created the situation, the contrast for us to know ourselves as love. If we didn't know the darkest of the dark, we could never possibly know or understand or appreciate the lightest of the light. So we don't want to go out in the street and lynch these guys. We want to say, hey, you're miserable over there. Come over here. It's so much more fun. You know? And so that's what we're working on.
Brian, tell us the story that Heather told us about.
Okay, well, we got to take a commercial break, guys, but we're going to get right back to the Cosmic
I hate to do it,
Picture Show. I hate to do it, but I love that phrase, the Cosmic Picture Show. And so we're going to be right back. This is Gadsden Rising. I'm Libby Gadsden with our special guests, Brian Kelly and Seraph, and Mary Lee Van Houten, our co-host and producer. We'll be right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Freedomizer Radio, where we have a 24/7 chat room where you can come and share what's going on in the world with people of like mind. Anything and everything against the New World Order. Dial 347-324-3704 to catch our live shows. Beginning at 9 in the morning Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday till midnight, and 9 to 9 on Saturday and Sunday. Take us to the beach. Take us to the park. Take us on a walk with the dog. Only on Freedomizer Radio.
Antiwartees.com is to promote anti-war activism, unlocking minds and shattering paradigms. By purchasing one of these T-shirts, you become an anti-war activist. www.antiwartees.com, bringing peace and human rights to the mainstream. Buy it, wear it, become it. Anti-War Tees.
Hello everyone, Proof here again. I want to let you know about our brand new sponsor, Silver Leaf Tea. Now, as you guys know that have listened to me for years, I am a tea aficionado. I have hundreds of different flavors and styles at my house, and Silver Leaf has exactly the kind of stuff that I look for. I love loose tea, great antioxidants. I just love the taste of it, and this Silver Leaf has black, they have green, they have white, they have organic, great for hot tea and iced tea. Silver Leaf Tea, it's right on our website, freedomizerradio.com, and check it out and order it. Silver Leaf Tea.
Greetings, this is Blake the Eccentric, and I want to invite you to check out my new show on Freedomizer Radio, The Eccentric Perspective. It's sort of a red pill, blue pill, going down the rabbit hole kind of show, featuring outside-the-box politics, philosophy, and gonzo journalism. But be warned, with knowledge comes responsibility, and you might not see the world the same way again, as I will attempt to open your mind, speak to your common sense, and challenge your critical thinking skills. So please join me Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from noon to 1:30 Pacific Time. Once again, that's Eccentric Perspective, only on Freedomizer Radio.
We are Critical Immunity with Larry and Renee. Our show will cover current events, national health news, nutrition, emergency preparedness, and organic farming, and various emblems and tools to thrive and survive. We hope you tune in and join in our discussion of health, liberty, preparedness, and survival. Join our hosts, Larry and Renee, with guest callers always welcome.
We know about the Gulf oil spill. We know about problems with voting. We know about environmental toxicity. We know that there are problems about the war, that our government is not representing the people as we would wish them to represent us. But we also know that there are crystal clear solutions. I'm Patricia Springstead, and I'm heavily involved in making the world a better place.
Every day you try to brainwash people just to have things go your way.
Tricia Springstead on Freedomizer Radio. Crystal Clear Solutions.
Well, tell me what you gonna do when your well runs dry.
You're listening to Freedomizer Radio at freedomizerradio.com. Join us in the chat room. You can also listen and participate by calling 347-324-3704. Like Freedomizer Radio on Facebook, and follow Libby Gadsden on Facebook. We're back.
Well, thanks, Mary Lou, and this is Gadsden Rising. I'm Libby Gadsden. Our special guests today are Brian Kelly and Seraph, and we're talking about a lot of great stuff here. I think I wanted to just bring us back to the subject of the factories that Ford made, where he said, every man in this factory should be able to be able to buy a car if he's working here, and now that's not the case. That people who work in factories can't buy the products that they're making. But one of the things that enables them to perhaps buy the products is a loan. And on your website here, American Kabuki, Heather made a interesting comment, and she said almost every loan, if not every loan, is fraud, and no loan was made that no debt could lawfully or legally exist. In other words, so the whole point is that in order to let workers buy the products, they can get loans. Mm-hmm. So I think it's another game that's being played by the powers that be, is to make loans imperative in order for people to afford the products that they're making.
Mm-hmm. And
it's not really a problem.
Yeah, go ahead, Meredith.
I'm sorry.
Problem.
I was going to say, speaking of Henry Ford and speaking of banking, he has that quote, "It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning."
Did you find that on my Facebook wall?
I just happen to know it.
I posted that quote on the 28th of last month, so I'm looking at it on my Facebook wall as you're reading it, so synchronicity at its finest.
That is fantastic, yeah. That is definitely great.
You have to understand the loan is not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
If Brian called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, Seraph, I need $100. Can you loan it to me?" Sure. When are you going to pay it back? Next week. Cool, done. Boom. Send him $100. Loan it back. Send it back in a week. Done. Okay, that's cool. It's an exchange of energy. He didn't have enough energy. I gave him some. He gave me mine back. Okay? Cool. Symbiotic, no issue. The problem with bank loans is, A, they never loan you any money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fraud from the very beginning. They never loan you any money.
Like
how many of you guys actually own a home, quote unquote, own a home right now?
Hardly anybody.
Well, I did, but I just sold it.
Okay. All right, well, that's perfect. You're a perfect example of my analogy. Okay, let's say, for instance, I bought it from you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way it's done in America is you go into in some states it's called a mortgage, some states it's called a deed of trust, whatever. But let's say I want to buy your house, and let's say you're selling your house for $100,000. We both agree, okay, I'll buy it for $100,000. You say, okay, cool, fine. So we meet at this office. I've gone through all the hoops, jumped through all the crap necessary for them to grace me with one of their loans. All right. Now, if I had gone into that office with the title company, and the person is sitting across from me, and then you're sitting there with your waiting to get your $100,000, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing they do is they slide in front of me a promissory note, and that note says, "I, Seraph GL, promise to pay $100,000 plus interest for 30 years for this property." All right. I say, yes, cool, sign, boom. The moment I put my name on that piece of paper, that loan officer gets up, grabs that piece of paper, and goes in another room. When that officer comes out of the room, they bring a check. They give it to you. At that point, your work is done. You get up and go where you need to go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still sitting there because the next thing they do is slide underneath my face a mortgage that gives the terms and conditions of the loan.
Mm-hmm.
When that person got up from the table and walked into the other room, what they did was they went in and they put in the paperwork that this guy, we got another sucker, here he is, he signed his name to the promissory note. That promissory note allowed that bank to immediately, with my signature, create up to 1,000 times, at a minimum 100 times, the document that I signed. It basically was like a
yeah,
I don't know, but anyway, it's a marketable instrument. My signature was an instrument, all right. And when I signed
that, pyramid concept, basically.
Yeah, of course, it's worse than a pyramid. So I signed the paperwork for $100,000. The bank immediately took that paperwork and used it to monetize it 100 times. All right, so they've made $1 million, at least 100 times. They took $1 million from the Federal Reserve for my signature. Now, if it takes my signature for a bank to create money, why are they charging me after the fact? So in other words, if I go to you and say, look, I'm going to sign my name in this thing here, it's going to say $100,000, and from that signature you get $1 million, all right? Then I should get my $100,000, which is basically 10% just for
actually $1 million is way more than $1 million. $100,000 is only 10 times of that for $1 million. So we're talking a lot more zeros, really, in actuality.
Yeah, it's like billions. All right?
What we're actually talking about, guys, is an ancient concept called usury, and what it does is it creates money out of thin air, and it was actually illegal for many centuries. All over the world, it was understood as something that was basically evil and bad for people. Loans that were made free and clear without usury, which means interest and all the things we're talking about, were illegal. And now, of course, usury is accepted as something that is normal and natural. You know, if you make a loan even to a friend, even friends say, well, you know, you should be getting interest on your loan. You know. This is something that it has been very accepted. And I see that there's something that Heather has proposed here, and it's called a courtesy notice to your banks or your credit card providers, that you can actually tell them you're simply not going to be paying them anymore. And some people have been successful in sending these courtesy notices. Do you know more about this, guys?
Yeah, I posted a success. Well, I think there's been about 20 or 30,000 of them that have gone out so far. Wow. I sent one out for my car note with Chase. Anybody that knows Chase knows they're one of the dirtiest banks in the world. And essentially, you're not sending it to the bank. You're sending it to the representative that's contacting you trying to collect the debt. So it might be a telemarketer or what have you. So you do it with respect and candor, because they don't know, they have no idea of how dirty the people are they're working for. They're innocent bystanders in the whole process. So essentially, what the courtesy notice does, it's addressed to them as individuals, and it's saying, basically here's what the One People's Public Trust is. Here's what it's done. Your boss has been foreclosed on. And you now have the liability to bring this information up the ladder and clear my debt, or else now you're going to be held liable, and I'm actually going to charge you. I'm going to assess a fee, and this is to you personally. It's not to your employer. So this accomplishes a couple of objectives. First of all, number one, it raises awareness. That guy is going to take it to his manager. It's an 11-page document. It says exactly what needs to be done. All the instructions are inside of it. That guy's going to bring it to his manager, who's going to bring it to his manager, who's probably going to bring it to his manager. And throughout that process, all those people inside are going to tell all the other people in there what they've read and what they found. And at that point, it's up to that person to follow the instructions or be held liable and be at penalty. Some financial dollar amount that's all expressed in there at however many days that go by where they still try to collect a debt. I sent one in a week ago for my $11,000 car note. I was getting calls, telemarketer calls every day trying to collect. I'm just 1 month behind, not that big of a deal, but I did it for a purpose. I wanted to walk the walk instead of just talk the talk. I haven't gotten one single call about it yet. From them calling to try to collect the debt, and that was probably about 10 days ago now. So I don't know if they cleared the debt or not, but it got to the guy. It's really funny, actually, when I asked him. I was like, hey, I need to send you some information that's going to clear all this up very quickly. Can I get your last name? And he's like, oh, well, here, take my employee number. And I said, no, I need to address this to you. I'm going to send something in. And he goes, well, hold on 1 second. He put me on like 4-minute hold. And he comes back and he goes, well, what is it? We just need you to make your payment. I go, trust me, I have no intention of letting this stretch on any longer than it already has. We share the same goal. We want to just put this to an end. So I actually am putting this in an envelope right now. I'm sending it to you. It's going to take care of everything. Okay, well, here's my last name, and here's my local address and where to send it to. Boom. Plopped it in there, got a witness to sign it, sent it in, haven't heard anything back since.
Wow.
This is great information for our
situation happen to me. I had the same situation happen to me, and I did it just like Brian said he just did it. As a matter of fact, when I talked to Brian, he told me the exact story, and I said, I'm going to use those same words. I'm going to be very light and very airy about it, and when it gets done, I'm going to get a name. And the woman gave me her name, and then she put me on hold, and the manager shows up on the phone. And he's like, "Hi, my name's Dave. What's going on here? Are you here to make a payment?" I said, "No, Dave. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to send you guys some information, and we'll clear this whole thing up." "Well, we don't need you to send anything in the mail. You can make the payment." I said, "Well, that's not. Trust me. When this is all done, you guys won't ever have to call me. I won't have to call you. You know, it'll all be done." And he said, "So are you going to make a payment?" He was trying to get me into contract with him verbally by saying, "Yes, I'm calling to make a payment." No, I'm not. So I sent mine in yesterday. And look, the courtesy notice is not designed for me to get paid. This courtesy notice is exactly that. It's a courtesy to the human being on the other end of the phone or on the other end of that paperwork to let them know. Now, before you go any further, I think it's fair to warn you that you can't hide behind that company that you work for, because that no longer exists. This is between you and me, partner. and if you approach me like you're approaching me right now again, I'm going to send you another one as another warning, and then I might send you one more just to be nice. But the fourth one is going to be a lien against you, your home, your property, whatever you own. And then, even then, if they keep moving forward, it's just going into the energetic accounting record. Because all that's going on right now is being tabulated. And that tabulation is what's going to determine where you stand in this system when the CVACs are up and the new Treasury is implemented.
Speaking of the Treasury, I've heard that the new Treasury Secretary knows about a lot of this. Is that right? Sorry to get off the subject, but
he might. Who cares? He's foreclosed on and working against a foreclosed corporation. What difference does it make? You know what I mean? I mean, does it matter that he knows anything? He could be Bozo the Clown. What difference does it make?
Yeah, everybody that you see on TV that's part of the so-called government are just puppets up there with strings being pulled and going about their business, making it look like everything's all copacetic when it's anything but. So, you know, we have people that we have a contact that's I'm not going to name him by name, but he's inside the Oval Office, letting us know every move of what's going on from behind the scenes. Not that it matters. It's really, it doesn't matter. I've seen email transcription back and forth with this guy. It doesn't matter, but it's nice to know what they're talking about in there. So really, it's all just it's on their end. I mean, it's all just a game, and you know, there's some people up there that are still fighting tooth and nail against it all, but everything at this point has been done. It's all inevitable. There's no moves that need to be made. There's no, we got this goal, and if we don't hit our target, you know, this whole thing falls apart, blah, on all that. That's all done. So we're this house of cards, I mean, it's like a little toothpick model home. And that little toothpick that holds up the whole thing is just fighting for dear life. I don't want to break because the whole thing's going to come tumbling down. Well, it's going to break no matter what. It's just it's not a matter of if anymore. It's just a matter of when. It's all out in the open for everybody to see. I think that's we're right there on the cusp of that right now.
Wow. What makes me sad, what makes me really sad, and I've gotten to that place. I guess it's a growth process, but what makes me really sad is every human on the planet has the choice to make. Are you going to go this direction, which is, as they've said on television before, the way of being on the right side of history, or are you going to continue to go to the left, which is the wrong side of history? Now, the very people that we're discussing are no different than you and I. If if Barack Obama or John Boehner was to knock on my door right now, I would view them no differently than the guy next door coming over to check to make sure my porch light is on. Because they are us. There's no difference in these people. They can't stay. And limited liability is a corporate term that eliminates your full responsibility for your action. That's all gone. All gone. So it puts us all in a 100% full liability and personal responsibility position. Some people don't like that. Some people don't like it. I prefer it because it's on the side of freedom. And if it's on the side of freedom, I'm for it. It's going to be a little tough a little bit. Some people are going to struggle, but that's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. Just understand that there's nothing about what's going on right now that you need to fear. The fear element is taken out. That's done. Because everything's done. We don't have to do anything. You don't have to. Brian and I filed those courtesy notices to have a little fun. That's basically it. And alert a couple of people as to what's really going on. But we don't have to file anything. Nobody has had to file anything. You filed it because you're trying to stop something that's happened to you right this moment. But the deal is done. It was done December 25th when they first announced it. It was done then. And just like Brian said with electricity, my favorite analogy is, say you're watering your garden. You got a 50-yard water hose, and you're at the end of the hose, and you're watering, and it's spraying, and everything's going great. And somebody sneaks behind you and turns the spigot off. All right? The pressure slowly stops, but you still got a little bit of energy left in that hose and a little bit of water. That's where they are right now. And to me, from a three-dimensional standpoint, when the whole deal falls apart is the first time all the employees' checks start bouncing. They're already using a different currency in the Bank of International Settlements. They're not even using the currency that we use because they know it's done. They know it. But they can't very well just say it's done. That's the reason why the United States government, the foreclosed previous artist formerly known as the United States government, the reason why that hasn't done anything since December 25th other than have a really big party for the corporate president. That's all they've done since December 25th. Think about it for a minute. They haven't done anything, forward or backwards, since Christmas. Not a thing. They talked about a bunch of stuff. They talked about fiscal cliffs and sequestering. I mean, what? What does any of that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a game. They know it's done. And all these people have to make a decision. Has Barack Obama made a decision one way or the other? Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't really matter. Because right now, his inaction is a decision. He's known all this stuff for years, what the problem is. He's been alerted by several people from different factions as to what is really going on. But you have to make a decision. You have to stand up. And I stated on Facebook just today, I would rather stand for freedom and be totally wrong in the way I go about it than to be a slave who's right.
Amen. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, but thank y'all so much for coming on the show, Brian and Seraph. It's been awesome. And
thank you.
This is Gadsden Rising.
It has been fabulous.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And I'm Mary Lou Van Houten, co-host and producer, and Libby Gadsden's our host. And thank y'all so much, and we'd love to have y'all on again if y'all want to come on.
Absolutely.
I love you.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hey, next time we'll talk about the spiritual aspect of all this and where we're headed and what we have to look forward to. That's what I'm focused on at this point.
Oh, I would love that. I would love it. That would be great.
Both of us. Mary Lou and I are on the same page with y'all. That's for sure.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Okay, well, and until next time, this is Gadsden Rising. I'm Libby Gadsden, and we'll talk again tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks, ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know the Constitution like the back of your hand. You've read books, listened to podcasts, attended lectures, surfed websites, and watched videos. You've made liberty your life's goal, but something seems to be missing.